In this video, we're going to break down why SpongeBob loves Krusty Krab. Let's get started. First up, we got Help Wanted. Why SpongeBob loves Krusty Krab. It's been his lifelong dream since childhood. SpongeBob SquarePants didn't just wake up one day and decide to work at the Krusty Krab. This wasn't some random choice or a backup plan. For SpongeBob, working at the Krusty Krab was the biggest dream of his life. He had been waiting for this moment since he was a little kid. The very first episode of the show, Help Wanted, shows us something important. SpongeBob's love for the Krusty Krab was part of who he was long before he ever cooked his first patty. The episode starts with SpongeBob waking up to his foghorn alarm clock. But unlike most people who hate their alarm, SpongeBob is super excited. He's not just awake, he's pumped up and ready to go. "Today's the big day, Gary," he tells his pet snail. This one sentence tells us everything. SpongeBob has been waiting for this day, marking it on his calendar, thinking about it non-stop. He doesn't take his time getting ready. He jumps on his diving board, lands in his square pants, and starts working out right away. Sure, his workout is pretty funny. He tries to lift a barbell with 2 stuffed animals on it and almost passes out. But what matters is why he's doing it. SpongeBob wants to be in top physical condition for his job interview. He's treating this like it's the most important thing in the world. As he runs out of his pineapple house, SpongeBob keeps saying the same thing over and over. "I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready." He says this so many times that even his best friend Patrick, who's stuck under his rock, cheers for him. This isn't just excitement. This is SpongeBob telling himself that everything he's worked for is finally happening. A dream that started years ago. When SpongeBob gets to the Krusty Krab, he doesn't run inside right away. He stops and stares at the building. He looks up at it and says something really important. There it is, the finest eating establishment ever established for eating, the Krusty Krab, home of the Krabby Patty, with a Help Wanted sign in the window. For years I've been dreaming of this moment. For years. Not just a few months or weeks. Years. This means SpongeBob has been planning for this moment since he was really young. The Krusty Krab wasn't just a job to him, it was his calling, his purpose, the thing he was meant to do with his life. The Help Wanted sign in the window was like a golden ticket. It was the sign he'd been waiting for. But even with all his excitement, SpongeBob suddenly gets scared. He starts to run away, saying, "I can't do this." This is where we see how much this job really means to him. He wants it so badly that he's afraid of failing. Patrick stops SpongeBob before he can run home. "Where do you think you're going?" Patrick asks. This is one of those rare moments where Patrick actually helps his friend in a smart way. He gives SpongeBob a pep talk by reminding him of all the things he's done to prepare for this moment. "Whose first words were, 'May I take your order?'" Patrick asks. SpongeBob answers, "Mine were." This is huge. SpongeBob's very first words as a baby weren't mama or dada, they were restaurant words. From the moment he could talk, SpongeBob was already thinking about working in food service. Patrick continues, "Who made a spatula out of toothpicks in woodshop?" SpongeBob says, "I did." This shows that even in school, SpongeBob was practicing cooking skills. While other kids made pencil holders or birdhouses in woodshop, SpongeBob made a spatula. He was already training himself for his dream job. Patrick struggles to think of a third example and finally asks, "Who's a big yellow cube with holes?" It's not the best motivational question, but it works. SpongeBob realizes he's being silly and starts saying, "I'm ready," again. He runs toward the Krusty Krab with new confidence. When SpongeBob finally gets inside the Krusty Krab, he says something that proves this has been a lifelong dream. He tells Mr. Krabs and Squidward, "I've been training my whole life for the day I could join the Krusty crew, and now I'm ready." Training his whole life. Think about what that means. SpongeBob didn't just watch cooking shows on TV or flip burgers once or twice. He dedicated his entire life to preparing for this job. Every day, every year, he was working toward this goal. He practiced cooking, he studied spatula techniques, he learned everything he could about the restaurant business. This level of dedication is crazy when you think about it. Most people don't know what they want to do with their lives until they're adults. Some people never figure it out, but SpongeBob knew from the very beginning. He wasn't confused or unsure. He had a clear vision of his future, and that future was at the Krusty Krab. Mr. Krabs and Squidward don't want to hire SpongeBob. They think he's too weird and annoying, so they come up with a plan to get rid of him. Mr. Krabs tells SpongeBob he needs to go find a hydrodynamic spatula with port and starboard attachments and turbo drive. This is a made-up thing. It doesn't exist. They're sending him on a fake mission just to get him out of the restaurant. But here's where SpongeBob's dedication really shows. He doesn't question it. He doesn't say that sounds fake or "Are you sure that's real?" He pulls out a notepad and writes down every word Mr. Krabs says. He salutes and says, "Aye, aye, Captain. One hydrodynamic spatula with port and starboard attachments, turbo drive, coming right up, sir." Mr. Krabs gives SpongeBob a Krusty Krab employee hat, even though he's not hired yet. SpongeBob looks at himself in the mirror wearing that hat, and his eyes light up. There are actual sparkles around the hat. For SpongeBob, putting on that hat is like a knight putting on armor or a superhero putting on their cape. It's not just a hat, it's a symbol of everything he's worked toward. After SpongeBob leaves, Mr. Krabs says, "We'll never see that lubber again." He and Squidward laugh because they think they've gotten rid of SpongeBob for good. They have no idea that SpongeBob's determination is stronger than anything they've ever seen, finding the impossible. While Mr. Krabs and Squidward are laughing, something crazy happens. 5 buses full of hungry anchovies pull up to the Krusty Krab. The anchovies rush inside, all of them saying meep over and over again. They're starving and want food immediately. Squidward tries to control them. He asks them to form a single file line, but the anchovies don't listen. They pick up the whole cash register boat with Squidward and Mr. Krabs inside and toss it around like a toy. Mr. Krabs starts screaming, "I want my mommy, Mr. Squidward!" They're completely overwhelmed and think they're going to die. Meanwhile, SpongeBob is at the Bargain Mart, singing to himself, "Bargain Mart, meeting all of your spatula needs." He's not worried or stressed. He's confident he'll find what he needs, and somehow, against all odds, he actually finds the hydrodynamic spatula. The store only had one in stock, which makes it even more incredible that SpongeBob found it. This is where SpongeBob's years of training pay off. Someone who didn't know everything about cooking tools wouldn't have been able to find this spatula. But SpongeBob knows spatulas like some people know sports statistics. He's studied them, practiced with them, dreamed about them. Finding this impossible spatula proves that SpongeBob really has been preparing his whole life. The hero moment. SpongeBob flies back to the Krusty Krab with red lights flashing and dramatic music playing. He comes in through the air, holding his new spatula, and yells, "Permission to come aboard, Captain. Did someone order a spatula?" Mr. Krabs and Squidward are shocked. They can't believe SpongeBob actually found the spatula. But SpongeBob isn't done showing off. He demonstrates all the spatula's features. The port and starboard attachments pop out from the sides, and the turbo drive makes it spin. He accidentally smacks Mr. Krabs and Squidward in the face with it, but that just makes the moment even funnier. Then SpongeBob looks at the crowd of hungry anchovies and asks, "Who's hungry?" This is his moment. This is what he's been training for his whole life. While Mr. Krabs and Squidward were panicking and giving up, SpongeBob stays calm and confident. He knows exactly what to do. What happens next is legendary. SpongeBob flies into the kitchen and starts cooking Krabby Patties at superhuman speed. Tiny Tim's song, "Living in the Sunlight, Loving in the Moonlight," plays in the background while SpongeBob works his magic. He doesn't just cook the patties he performs. He crashes into a box of patties and shoots them with his eyes toward the grill. He holds the spatula with his mouth while chopping vegetables. He steps on pumps of ketchup, mustard, and mayonnaise to add them to the buns. He makes each patty with a smiley face drawn in condiments. The speed is incredible. He's making hundreds, maybe thousands of Krabby Patties in just a few minutes. The patties fly through the order window so fast that they look like bullets. Every single anchovy gets fed. The crowd goes from angry and hungry to happy and satisfied. This cooking scene shows us why SpongeBob has been training his whole life. Normal people can't cook like this. Even experienced cooks can't move this fast or make food this good. SpongeBob has natural talent, but he's also put in the work. He's practiced so much that cooking has become second nature to him. His hands know what to do without him having to think about it. Finally, getting the job. After all the anchovies leave, Mr. Krabs is standing in the dining room with a wheelbarrow full of money. He just made more cash in a few minutes than he probably makes in a month. And it's all because of SpongeBob. Mr. Krabs walks up to SpongeBob and says, "That was the finest fast foodsmanship I've ever seen, Mr. SquarePants. Welcome aboard." He gives SpongeBob an official name tag. This is the moment SpongeBob has been dreaming about for years. He's officially part of the Krusty crew. Squidward tries to complain, but Mr. Krabs isn't listening. He's too impressed with SpongeBob's skills. He leads everyone in cheers for SpongeBob, even though Squidward is clearly not happy about it. Then Mr. Krabs takes his wheelbarrow of money to his office to count it, leaving SpongeBob at his new job. Patrick comes in and orders one Krabby Patty. SpongeBob immediately flies back to the kitchen and makes way too many patties again. They shoot through the window, knock into Patrick, and send him flying out of the restaurant. It's chaos, but it's the kind of chaos that comes from pure enthusiasm and love for the job. What this all means. The Help Wanted episode isn't just about SpongeBob getting a job. It's about a dream coming true. From the moment SpongeBob wakes up, we see someone who has been preparing for this day his entire life. His first words as a baby were restaurant-related. He made spatulas in woodshop. He told himself, "I'm ready," over and over because he really was ready. When SpongeBob says, "I've been training my whole life for the day I could join the Krusty crew," he's not exaggerating. He's not trying to impress anyone. He's telling the truth. Every single day of his life has been leading up to this moment. Every practice session, every imaginary Krabby Patty he made at home, every time he pictured himself wearing that Krusty Krab hat, it was all building toward his first day on the job. This level of dedication explains so much about SpongeBob's character throughout the series. It explains why he never complains about his low pay. It explains why he's devastated when he gets fired or when the restaurant closes. It explains why he treats every day at work like it's the best day of his life. For SpongeBob, working at the Krusty Krab isn't just a job, it's the fulfillment of his life's purpose. The bigger picture. Most people go through life trying to figure out what they want to do. They switch jobs, change careers, and search for meaning. But SpongeBob never had that problem. He knew from the very beginning what he wanted, and he never wavered. He never questioned his dream or thought about doing something else. He stayed focused on his goal with a determination that most people never experience. This kind of single-minded dedication can seem naive or childish, but there's something beautiful about it too. SpongeBob found his passion early and committed to it completely. He didn't let fear or doubt stop him. Even when he got scared and tried to run away, Patrick's pep talk reminded him of all the work he'd already put in. He couldn't give up on his dream after coming so far. The episode also shows us that SpongeBob's dream wasn't unrealistic. He wasn't trying to do something impossible. He genuinely had the skills to back up his ambitions. When the moment came to prove himself, he didn't just barely pass the test, he exceeded everyone's expectations. He saved the restaurant from a disaster and made Mr. Krabs rich in the process. Why it matters. Understanding that working at the Krusty Krab has been SpongeBob's lifelong dream helps us understand every other episode of the show. When SpongeBob gets his 374th Employee of the Month award, it's not just him being competitive, it's him proving every day that he deserves to live his dream. When he refuses to leave the Krusty Krab even for better opportunities, it's because no other opportunity could ever compare to achieving his childhood goal. SpongeBob loves the Krusty Krab because it represents everything he's worked for. It's the place where his dreams became reality. It's where he gets to do what he was born to do. Every Krabby Patty he makes, every customer he serves, every day he shows up to work, it's all proof that his lifelong dream wasn't just a fantasy. It was a goal he achieved through dedication, practice, and an unwavering belief in himself. That first episode, Help Wanted, shows us a character who knows exactly who he is and what he wants. In a world where so many people feel lost or uncertain, SpongeBob's clarity is inspiring. He found his purpose early, pursued it relentlessly, and achieved it against all odds. That's why SpongeBob loves the Krusty Krab. It's not just where he works, it's where he belongs. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to Friend or Foe. Why SpongeBob loves Krusty Krab. He made his first perfect Krabby Patty as a baby. SpongeBob SquarePants was born to cook Krabby Patties. This isn't just a figure of speech or an exaggeration. In the episode Friend or Foe, we learned something amazing about SpongeBob. As a baby, the very first time he ever tried to make a Krabby Patty, he made it perfectly. No practice, no training, no mistakes. Just pure, natural talent appearing the moment he touched the ingredients. The reveal in Friend or Foe. The discovery happens during one of Patchy the Pirate's segments in the episode. Patchy is trying to learn how to cook burgers so he can be like SpongeBob, but everything he makes is terrible. His burgers are burnt, gross, and completely inedible. After making yet another awful burger, Patchy throws it away and says something interesting. Oh well, I bet SpongeBob's first patty didn't go so well either. Patchy assumes that everyone starts out bad at cooking. He thinks SpongeBob must have made terrible patties when he first started, just like Patchy is doing now. It makes sense, right? Nobody is perfect the first time they try something. Even talented people need to practice and learn. But Potty the Parrot corrects him immediately. Rock roll film, Potty says. Then we see a flashback that changes everything we thought we knew about SpongeBob. Baby SpongeBob's first patty. The flashback shows SpongeBob as a tiny baby. He's wearing a diaper and looks exactly like adult SpongeBob, just smaller and younger. In front of him are all the ingredients for a Krabby Patty. The buns, the patty, the lettuce, the cheese, the pickles, the onions, the tomatoes, the ketchup, and the mustard. Baby SpongeBob doesn't hesitate. He doesn't look confused or unsure, he just starts putting the burger together. His tiny baby hands work quickly and confidently. He places each ingredient in the exact right spot. He adds the condiments in the perfect amounts. Within seconds, he's holding up a complete, beautiful, perfect Krabby Patty. Potty narrates, "A perfect patty on the first try." That's it. No fumbling, no mess, no mistakes. Just perfection from the very beginning. What this means. This short scene tells us something huge about SpongeBob's character. Making a perfect Krabby Patty on the first try as a baby means cooking isn't just something SpongeBob learned. It's part of who he is at the deepest level. It's in his nature. Like how some people are born with the ability to sing perfectly or paint beautifully. Most skills need to be developed over time. People who become great cooks usually start by burning things or adding too much salt or forgetting ingredients. They make mistakes, learn from them, and slowly get better. Even child prodigies who show talent early still need years of practice to become truly great. But SpongeBob skipped all of that. He didn't need to learn, he didn't need to practice. The knowledge and skill were already inside him, waiting to come out. The first time he had the chance to make a Krabby Patty, everything just clicked into place. Born to cook. This natural ability explains so much about why SpongeBob loves working at the Krusty Krab. He's not just good at his job, he's doing what he was literally born to do. From his first day of life, SpongeBob had a special connection to Krabby Patties. While other babies were learning to crawl or say their first words, SpongeBob was making perfect burgers. Think about how rare this is. Most people spend their whole lives trying to figure out what they're good at or what makes them happy. They try different jobs, different hobbies, different paths. Some people never find their calling, but SpongeBob knew from day one. Or actually, he knew even before day one, because as we learned in another episode, his first word as a fetus was Krabby Patty. When you're born with a natural gift for something, and you get to do that thing every single day as your job, of course you're going to love it. SpongeBob doesn't have to force himself to be good at cooking. He doesn't have to study or practice or push himself. It all comes naturally, easily, joyfully. Every Krabby Patty he makes is an expression of his truest self. The significance of timing. It's interesting that we learn about baby SpongeBob's first patty in Friend or Foe, an episode that's really about Mr. Krabs and Plankton. The main story is about how these two former best friends became enemies over a burger recipe. The whole episode is about the history of the Krabby Patty formula and how it was created. In the middle of this story about where the Krabby Patty came from, we get this brief glimpse of baby SpongeBob making one perfectly. It's like the show is telling us that while Mr. Krabs and Plankton were fighting over who invented the recipe, SpongeBob was the one who was truly meant to cook these burgers. The recipe might belong to Mr. Krabs, but the skill belongs to SpongeBob. Mr. Krabs and Plankton created the Krabby Patty by accident. Their fight over the recipe tore apart their friendship. The recipe came from anger, betrayal, and broken trust. But SpongeBob's relationship with Krabby Patties is pure. It's not about money or power or revenge. It's about love and natural talent and doing what you were born to do. Patchy's reaction. Patchy the pirate is shocked when he sees the footage of baby SpongeBob. He was expecting to see SpongeBob struggle just like he's struggling. Instead, he sees perfection. Patchy responds by saying, "Ooh, I'll make a potty patty out of you." He's frustrated because he's been working hard and failing, while SpongeBob succeeded effortlessly as a baby. This reaction shows us how unusual SpongeBob's talent really is. Patchy is an adult who has been practicing. He's been studying and trying different techniques, but he still can't make a good burger. Meanwhile, baby SpongeBob, with no training or experience, makes a masterpiece. The comparison makes it clear that SpongeBob isn't just skilled, he's gifted in a way that most people can never achieve. Natural talent versus hard work. The scene with baby SpongeBob brings up interesting questions about talent and work. There's a common saying that practice makes perfect. People believe that if you work hard enough at something, you can become good at it. And that's true for most things. Most skills can be learned through dedication and effort. But some people are born with abilities that go beyond what practice alone can achieve. These people start at a level that others might never reach even after years of training. That's what we see with SpongeBob. He doesn't just have a head start, he starts at the finish line. This doesn't mean SpongeBob doesn't work hard. As we saw in Help Wanted, he says he's been training my whole life for his job at the Krusty Krab. But his training wasn't about learning the basics of cooking. It was about preparing to use the talent he already had. It was about getting ready to do what he was born to do. The perfect match. SpongeBob's natural talent for making Krabby Patties means he was always meant to work at the Krusty Krab. This wasn't a random choice or a lucky break. It was destiny. The Krusty Krab is the one place where SpongeBob's specific, unique talent is exactly what's needed. Imagine if SpongeBob had gotten a different job. What if he had become a teacher, or a construction worker, or a bus driver? He might have been okay at those jobs, but he never would have been extraordinary. His special gift for making perfect Krabby Patties would have gone to waste. He would have spent his life knowing he had this amazing ability but never getting to use it. But at the Krusty Krab, SpongeBob gets to use his gift every single day. Every shift is an opportunity to do what he does best. Every customer is someone he can make happy with his natural talent. The job isn't just a good fit, it's the only fit. The Krusty Krab needs SpongeBob as much as SpongeBob needs the Krusty Krab. Why other jobs don't work. Throughout the series, SpongeBob occasionally tries other jobs or gets fired from the Krusty Krab temporarily. Every time this happens, things go badly. SpongeBob is miserable. The other jobs don't work out. He always ends up back at the Krusty Krab, because that's where he belongs. Now we understand why. SpongeBob's entire being is designed for making Krabby Patties. His hands, his mind, his instincts, everything about him is perfectly suited for this one specific task. When he tries to do something else, he's fighting against his own nature. It's like asking a bird not to fly or a fish not to swim. He can do it, but he'll never be happy. The scene with baby SpongeBob making his first perfect patty shows us that this has been true from the very beginning. Before SpongeBob could walk or talk or do anything else, he could make Krabby Patties. This ability is more fundamental to who he is than anything else about him. The contrast with Patchy. The Friend or Foe episode keeps cutting between the story of Mr. Krabs and Plankton's past and scenes of Patchy trying to learn to cook. This contrast is important. We see Patchy struggling, failing, and getting frustrated. We see him make mistakes and produce terrible food, and then we see baby SpongeBob succeeding perfectly without even trying. Potty the parrot points out all the things Patchy is doing wrong. He keeps raw meat in an old boot. He has rats in the kitchen. He doesn't wash his hands after using the bathroom. He doesn't wear a hairnet. All of these problems show that Patchy doesn't have natural cooking instincts. He has to be told what to do, and even then, he doesn't do it right. SpongeBob never needed these lessons. He never had to learn about food safety or proper techniques. Somehow, he just knew. His first patty wasn't just edible, it was perfect. Everything about it was exactly right, from the ingredient placement to the appearance to the taste. Baby SpongeBob understood things that Patchy, an adult with practice, still couldn't figure out. What makes it perfect? The flashback doesn't show us anyone eating baby SpongeBob's first patty, but Potty says it was perfect. What does that mean? How can we know a patty is perfect just by looking at it? Throughout the series, we learn what makes a good Krabby Patty. The ingredients have to be fresh. They have to be in the right order. The patty itself has to be cooked at exactly the right temperature. The condiments need to be applied in the right amounts. Everything needs to be balanced so that each bite has the perfect combination of flavors and textures. These are things that even experienced cooks struggle with. Getting everything exactly right requires knowledge, skill, and practice. But baby SpongeBob got it all right on his first try. This suggests that his understanding of Krabby Patties goes beyond normal knowledge. It's more like instinct. Just as a spider knows how to spin a web without being taught, SpongeBob knows how to make Krabby Patties without learning. The role of love. Later in the series, SpongeBob reveals that the secret ingredient in Krabby Patties is love. He says you have to make them with love for them to taste right. This might sound like a joke or a silly kids show message, but the scene with baby SpongeBob makes it real. Baby SpongeBob wasn't making that first patty because someone told him to or because he needed money. He was making it because he wanted to, because it made him happy, because he loved doing it. That love was there from the very beginning, before SpongeBob even understood what love was. This natural love for making Krabby Patties is why SpongeBob is so good at his job. Other cooks might have the technical skills, but they don't have the passion. They're making food because it's their job, not because it's their joy. SpongeBob brings something extra to every patty he makes, and that something is pure, genuine love for the craft, the connection to his dream. We know from Help Wanted that working at the Krusty Krab has been SpongeBob's lifelong dream. Now, with the knowledge that he made his first perfect patty as a baby, we can understand why. This wasn't a dream he chose, it was a dream that chose him. From the moment SpongeBob was capable of making anything, he made Krabby Patties. His first interaction with food wasn't eating it or playing with it, it was creating it, and he created it perfectly. This experience must have shaped everything that came after. Every day of his life, SpongeBob knew he had this special ability. He knew he could make perfect Krabby Patties. Of course, he wanted a job where he could use that ability. The dream wasn't about having a job or making money or being successful. It was about getting to do what he was born to do. It was about expressing his truest self every single day. When SpongeBob says he's been training his whole life to work at the Krusty Krab, he's not just talking about practicing. He's talking about preparing to live out his destiny. Why SpongeBob never gives up. Throughout the series, SpongeBob faces many challenges at the Krusty Krab. Mr. Krabs is cheap and sometimes mean. Squidward is constantly grumpy and dismissive. Plankton is always trying to steal the formula. The restaurant has near disasters all the time. SpongeBob gets fired occasionally. He sometimes feels unappreciated or overwhelmed. But he never gives up on the Krusty Krab. He never decides to quit and find an easier job. He always comes back, always stays loyal, always keeps cooking. Now we know why. Making Krabby Patties isn't just something SpongeBob is good at, it's what he is. Asking him to stop would be like asking him to stop being himself. That first perfect patty as a baby showed SpongeBob who he was meant to be. Every patty he's made since then has been a confirmation of that identity. He can't give up on the Krusty Krab because he can't give up on himself. The bigger picture. The scene with baby SpongeBob is only a few seconds long. It happens during a live-action segment with Patchy and Potty, not during the main story. It would be easy to miss or forget about it, but those few seconds tell us something essential about SpongeBob's character and why he loves his job so much. SpongeBob loves the Krusty Krab because working there allows him to be exactly who he was born to be. His first perfect patty as a baby was just the beginning. Every day at the Krusty Krab is a continuation of that moment. Every patty he makes is another expression of the talent he's had since birth. Every satisfied customer is proof that his gift matters. This is why SpongeBob wakes up every morning excited to go to work. This is why he says, "I'm ready" over and over with genuine enthusiasm. This is why he calls Mr. Krabs Captain and treats his spatula like a sacred tool. This is why he defends the Krusty Krab's honor and refuses to let anyone badmouth it. The restaurant isn't just his workplace, it's the place where he gets to be his authentic self. Most people spend their lives searching for purpose and meaning. They wonder what they're supposed to do, what they're good at, what will make them happy. SpongeBob never had to search. His purpose was revealed in his first action as a baby capable of making things. He found his meaning in that first perfect patty, and he found his happiness in doing what came naturally to him. That's the real reason SpongeBob loves the Krusty Krab. Not because it's the best restaurant or pays well or has great benefits, but because it's the one place in the world where he can use the gift he was born with. The Krusty Krab is where SpongeBob's natural talent meets his deepest passion. And when that happens, work stops feeling like work. It becomes joy, it becomes purpose, it becomes love. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on, we have Truth or Square. Why SpongeBob loves Krusty Krab. His first words as a fetus were Krabby Patty. Before SpongeBob was even born, before he took his first breath or opened his eyes, he already loved the Krusty Krab. In the episode Truth or Square, we learned something amazing about SpongeBob's connection to Krabby Patties. His very first words, spoken while he was still inside his mother's womb, were Krabby Patty. This wasn't just his first sentence or his first real words as a baby, these were his first words ever, spoken before he was even born. The day it happened. The story unfolds when SpongeBob is remembering special moments in his life. He's talking to Gary about the Krusty Krab's big anniversary celebration. SpongeBob gets nostalgic and says, "Aw, I remember my first visit to the Krusty Krab." What follows is a flashback that shows us something nobody expected. We see SpongeBob's parents, Harold and Margaret Squarepants, walking toward the Krusty Krab. Margaret is pregnant with baby SpongeBob. Harold looks at the restaurant and says, "I don't know. This doesn't look like a family restaurant." But Margaret has a different idea. She's carrying SpongeBob inside her, and she wants to know what her baby thinks. She asks, "Well, what do you think, baby? Would you like to eat here?" Inside the womb. The scene does something really creative here. It shows us inside Margaret's womb, where baby SpongeBob is floating around. He's already shaped like a sponge, just tiny and not born yet. Margaret's belly button acts like a window that baby SpongeBob can look through. Baby SpongeBob swims over to this window and looks out. From inside the womb, he can see the Krusty Krab. Specifically, he can see the galley grub, the menu that shows all the food you can order at the restaurant. And that's when it happens. Baby SpongeBob, who has never spoken before, who has never said a single word in his entire existence, speaks for the very first time. He looks at that menu and says, "Krabby Patty." These are his first words, not mama or data like most babies, not simple sounds or random noises. His first words are the name of the food item that would become the center of his entire life. What happened next? The flashback shows this moment as a surreal comedy gag, the kind of absurd humor SpongeBob SquarePants is known for. The episode plays it for laughs, showing baby SpongeBob's instant recognition and excitement about Krabby Patties even from inside the womb. After Margaret hears baby SpongeBob's response through some cartoon logic that allows parents to communicate with their unborn child, she and Harold decide to go inside. The scene establishes that SpongeBob's connection to Krabby Patties began at the earliest possible moment of his consciousness. The flashback then ends, bringing us back to present-day SpongeBob lying on the floor of his room, holding himself up with his elbows. He smiles and says, "Good times." He's genuinely fond of this memory, looking back on his first encounter with the Krusty Krab menu as a defining moment in his life. Why this matters so much. This flashback tells us something huge about SpongeBob's character. It shows that his love for Krabby Patties and the Krusty Krab started before he was even born. This wasn't something he learned or developed over time, it was part of him from the very beginning of his existence. Most people discover what they love as they grow up. They try different things, have different experiences, and figure out their passions. But SpongeBob didn't need any of that. His passion was there from day one, actually, from before day one. Before he could walk, before he could see properly, before he was even born, he already knew what he loved. The fact that his first words were Krabby Patty means this wasn't a casual interest. Speaking your first words is a huge milestone. It's one of the most important moments in anyone's development. And SpongeBob used that moment to express his love for the food that would define his life. The connection to his life's work. This early connection explains why SpongeBob is so perfect at his job. When you've loved something since before you were born, you have a deeper understanding of it than anyone else possibly could. SpongeBob didn't just learn about Krabby Patties. He's been connected to them at the most basic level since his first moment of consciousness. Think about what this means for his career at the Krusty Krab. SpongeBob isn't just someone who decided to become a fry cook. He's someone whose first conscious thought involved the restaurant where he now works. His entire existence has been leading toward working at the Krusty Krab. Every day he spends cooking Krabby Patties is a continuation of that first moment when he looked out from his mother's womb and said those magic words. The belly button window. There's something interesting about how the flashback is shown. Margaret's belly button acts like a window that baby SpongeBob can look through. This is a creative way to show us what baby SpongeBob saw, but it also means something more. Baby SpongeBob could have been looking at anything. His mother could have walked past many different places while she was pregnant. But the moment that mattered, the moment that triggered his first words, was when she walked past the Krusty Krab. Out of all the things in the ocean, the Krusty Krab's menu was what made him speak. He saw the galley grub menu with all its items. He could have said French fries or soda or anything else on that menu. But he chose to say Krabby Patty. Even as a fetus, he knew exactly what he wanted. The comedy of the scene. The scene where baby SpongeBob speaks from the womb is played for absurd comedy. SpongeBob SquarePants as a show often breaks the rules of reality for humor, and this flashback is a perfect example. The idea of a fetus not only being able to see through a belly button window but also speak complete words is ridiculous, and that's the point. The show uses this impossible scenario to explain SpongeBob's obsession with his job in the most extreme way possible. By having his first words be Krabby Patty, the episode takes SpongeBob's dedication to the Krusty Krab and traces it back to the absolute beginning. It's funny because it's so over the top, but it also reveals something true about the character. His love for his job is fundamental to who he is. This kind of surreal backstory fits perfectly with SpongeBob's character. He's not a normal employee with a normal relationship to his workplace. He's someone whose entire personality revolves around cooking Krabby Patties, and this flashback shows that this has always been who he is. Good times. At the end of the flashback, present-day SpongeBob says, "Good times," with a happy smile. He's not embarrassed or confused about this memory. He's genuinely fond of it. He looks back on the moment when he first discovered Krabby Patties as a good memory, even though he was still in the womb. This shows that SpongeBob sees his connection to Krabby Patties as something positive and special. He's not conflicted about his single-minded focus on his job. He's not worried that maybe he should have broader interests. He's completely happy with who he is and what he loves. For SpongeBob, working at the Krusty Krab isn't just a job, it's the fulfillment of something that was written into his very existence before he was born. Every Krabby Patty he makes is connected to that first moment when he said those words from inside the womb. A life built around that moment. Everything we know about SpongeBob makes more sense when we know about his first words. His excitement about going to work every day, his dedication to making perfect patties, his willingness to work for almost no money, his Employee of the Month awards, all of it traces back to that moment before birth. When SpongeBob wakes up every morning and says, "I'm ready," he's been ready since before he was born. When he defends the Krusty Krab's honor, he's protecting something that's been precious to him since his first conscious thought. When he refuses to give up on his job, even when things get hard, it's because walking away from the Krusty Krab would mean walking away from his first love. Other people have jobs, SpongeBob has a calling. Other people learn skills. SpongeBob was born or even pre-born with a purpose. The Krusty Krab isn't just where he works, it's where he belongs. Where he's always belonged, where he belonged even before he existed as a separate being from his mother. The importance of first words. In the real world, parents get really excited about their baby's first words. They write it down in baby books. They call relatives to share the news. They take videos and pictures. First words are considered a major milestone because they're the beginning of communication and self-expression. For SpongeBob, his first words weren't just important, they revealed what would become the center of his life. If someone had been keeping a baby book for SpongeBob and written down that his first words were Krabby Patty, they would have had a pretty good idea what he would grow up to become. Most babies say things like mama, dada, ball, or dog as their first words. These are simple words about things in their immediate environment. But SpongeBob's first words showed specific knowledge and preference. He didn't just make sounds, he identified something he wanted by its proper name. The family's response. The episode doesn't show us how Harold and Margaret reacted to baby SpongeBob's first words. Did they hear him? Did they know their unborn baby was speaking? The episode doesn't tell us. What we do know is that they brought him to the Krusty Krab when he was still in the womb, and that visit changed everything. Margaret asked baby SpongeBob if he wanted to eat at the Krusty Krab, and he answered by speaking his first words. In a way, she gave him permission to express his opinion, and he took that opportunity to reveal his true self. The before and after. This flashback divides SpongeBob's existence into two parts, before the Krusty Krab and after the Krusty Krab. But the before part was extremely short, basically just however long Margaret was pregnant before this visit. For almost all of his existence, SpongeBob has known about and loved Krabby Patties. This means SpongeBob has spent more of his life knowing about Krabby Patties than not knowing about them. They've been part of his consciousness for as long as he's had consciousness. They're not just his favorite food, they're one of the first things he ever knew existed. Why SpongeBob never gets tired. Some people might wonder how SpongeBob can love his job so much day after day, year after year. How does he wake up excited to flip burgers every single morning? How does he never get bored or burned out? The answer is in this flashback. SpongeBob doesn't see cooking Krabby Patties as repetitive work. Every patty he makes connects him back to that first moment of awareness in the womb. Every customer he serves is another chance to share the thing he loved before he was even born. For most people, doing the same thing every day gets old. But SpongeBob isn't doing the same thing. He's expressing his fundamental nature. He's being his truest self. He's living out the purpose that was revealed in his very first words. The power of early love. There's something pure about loving something before you fully understand it. Baby SpongeBob in the womb didn't know what the Krusty Krab was. He didn't know what a job was or what cooking meant. He didn't understand money or restaurants or business. He just knew that when he saw Krabby Patty on that menu, something inside him responded. That kind of pure, innocent love is what SpongeBob still has as an adult. He hasn't become jaded or cynical. He hasn't started seeing his job as just a way to make money. He still has that same immediate, joyful response to Krabby Patties that he had in the womb. His love hasn't been complicated by adult concerns, it stayed pure and simple. An absurd origin story. Every character has an origin story, a moment or event that shaped who they are. For superheroes, it might be getting bitten by a radioactive spider or watching their parents die. For SpongeBob, his origin story is a comedy gag that happens before he's born. This makes his story unique and perfectly suited to the tone of SpongeBob SquarePants. The show takes something as mundane as loving your job and makes it into something absurd and memorable. By having SpongeBob's first words be Krabby Patty, the episode creates a ridiculous but somehow fitting explanation for his character. The episode doesn't ask us to take this too seriously. It's presented as a funny flashback, not a dramatic revelation. But even as a joke, it tells us something real about SpongeBob. His connection to the Krusty Krab goes deeper than anyone expected. The comfort of knowing. There's something comforting about knowing your purpose from the beginning. SpongeBob never had to wonder what he should do with his life. He never had to try different careers or figure out what made him happy. He knew from before birth, and that knowledge has guided him ever since. When life gets confusing or difficult, SpongeBob can always return to that basic truth. He loves Krabby Patties and the Krusty Krab. This gives him a solid foundation that never shakes. No matter what happens, he knows who he is and what matters to him. The episode's message. By showing us SpongeBob's first words, truth or square, gives us a fun explanation for SpongeBob's character. Everything he does, every choice he makes, every time he shows dedication to his job, it all traces back to this moment. SpongeBob loves the Krusty Krab because that love was his first experience of consciousness. Before he knew anything else, before he understood the world, before he was even born, he knew one thing, Krabby Patties, and that knowledge has shaped everything that came after. This isn't meant to be deep lore or serious canon, it's a comedy gag that also happens to perfectly capture who SpongeBob is. It explains why he can't imagine doing anything else, why he stays loyal even when Mr. Krabs treats him badly, why he takes such joy in every patty he makes. His first words set the tone for his entire life, and he's been following that path happily ever since. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. He won 374 consecutive Employee of the Month awards. SpongeBob has a wall in his house covered with Employee of the Month portraits. Not just a few awards or even a couple dozen. He has 374 consecutive Employee of the Month awards displayed in his bedroom. This appears in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie when he's getting ready for what he thinks will be his promotion to manager of the Krusty Krab 2. The scene shows SpongeBob waking up on the morning of the grand opening ceremony. He tears off his calendar page to reveal the date, March 7. He's excited because he believes Mr. Krabs will announce him as the new manager. When he wonders who will get the promotion, he turns to his wall and asks his 374 consecutive Employee of the Month awards. All of them respond in unison, SpongeBob SquarePants. What consecutive really means? The word consecutive is important here. This means SpongeBob won Employee of the Month every single month without missing one. He did not win it sometimes or most of the time. He won it all the time. Month after month after month, with no breaks in between. If you do the math, 374 months equals over 31 years. SpongeBob would have needed to work at the Krusty Krab for more than 3 decades to get this many awards. This creates a funny situation because SpongeBob looks and acts young, but the number of awards suggests he's been working there for a very long time. The show does not explain this timeline directly. The creators probably chose 374 because it's a funny, specific, ridiculously high number. What matters is that SpongeBob has an incredibly large number of Employee of the Month awards, and he's proud enough of them to display every single one in his room. To put 374 months in perspective, that's more than 30 years of working at the same restaurant. That's longer than many people's entire careers. Some people work at companies for their whole lives and retire after 30 or 40 years. SpongeBob has been the best employee every single month for that entire time. A wall full of his own face? Think about what it means to have 374 portraits of yourself on your bedroom wall. Most people might keep 1 or 2 awards visible, maybe in a living room or office. Some people put their diplomas or certificates in frames, but 374 is different. That's not a corner of achievements. That's an entire wall dedicated to one thing. SpongeBob has covered his bedroom wall with hundreds of identical frames. Each frame contains the same basic image, his smiling face with an Employee of the Month certificate. The portraits go from floor to ceiling. They fill the entire wall. When the camera pulls back to show the full wall, you see just how many there are. This is not about ego or bragging. The wall shows how much these awards mean to him. Each one represents another month of doing his job well. Each one is proof that Mr. Krabs recognized his hard work. For SpongeBob, these awards connect directly to his love of working at the Krusty Krab. When SpongeBob talks to his wall of awards in the movie, they respond to him. He asks, "Who's it gonna be?" about who will become the new manager. All 374 versions of himself on the wall say SpongeBob SquarePants in unison. This scene is played for comedy, but it also shows how SpongeBob sees these awards. They represent his identity as an excellent employee. They speak with one voice because they all say the same thing. He's good at his job. The fact that SpongeBob keeps all 374 awards displayed also matters. He did not throw away the old ones or pack them in storage. He did not stop at displaying the first few or just the most recent ones. Every single award is on his wall. Each month's recognition is equally important to him. Never missing a month. To win 374 consecutive awards means SpongeBob never had an off month. He never got sick for too long. He never took an extended vacation. He never had a period where he did just okay instead of great. Month after month, year after year, decade after decade, he maintained the same level of excellence. This level of consistency is rare. Many people start a job excited and motivated, but that excitement fades over time. Work becomes routine. People get tired or bored or frustrated. The things that seemed fun at first become repetitive. The job that once felt meaningful starts to feel like just a paycheck. But SpongeBob never experienced this decline. His 374th month at the Krusty Krab was apparently just as strong as his first month. He never burned out. He never went through a rough patch. He never had a month where he called in sick too much or showed up late too often or just went through the motions. The consecutive nature of these awards also means no other Krusty Krab employee won even once during this entire period. Squidward never won. No other fry cook who might have worked there won. For 374 months straight, SpongeBob was the clear choice. The decision was not even close enough for someone else to win occasionally. Think about what this means for the other employees. Squidward has worked at the Krusty Krab for years. He shows up to work, he does his job. But he has never won Employee of the Month even once during all this time. SpongeBob has won it hundreds of times while Squidward has won 0 times. This could explain why Squidward seems so frustrated and bitter about work. He sees SpongeBob winning award after award after award. The wall of portraits keeps growing, and Squidward never gets recognized. From his perspective, he's working at the same restaurant as someone who makes him look bad by comparison every single month. What the awards represent. For SpongeBob, these awards are more than recognition from his boss. Each award represents a month of cooking Krabby Patties, serving customers, cleaning the restaurant, and doing everything that comes with working at the Krusty Krab. Each award is proof that he's good at what he loves. When you love your job, recognition feels different. The award is not just a prize or a token, it's validation. It's confirmation that the thing you care about is something you're actually good at. For SpongeBob, each Employee of the Month award proves that his passion for fry cooking is matched by his skill. The awards also show that SpongeBob's dedication is recognized. Mr. Krabs might be cheap and focused on money, but he still gives out Employee of the Month awards. And month after month, he chooses SpongeBob. This means Mr. Krabs sees SpongeBob's value even if he doesn't always show it in other ways. Mr. Krabs does not pay SpongeBob much. Throughout the series, we see that SpongeBob makes very little money, but the Employee of the Month awards cost Mr. Krabs almost nothing. A certificate and a photo are cheap. Yet these awards mean everything to SpongeBob. They keep him motivated and happy even when his paycheck is tiny. When SpongeBob feels unsure about himself or his abilities, he can look at his wall. The 374 awards remind him that he's excellent at his job. They're physical proof of his competence and his commitment. They're evidence that he's not imagining his skills or fooling himself about his abilities. Some people might think it's silly to care so much about Employee of the Month awards. They might see them as meaningless workplace decorations or ways for cheap bosses to avoid giving real raises. But for SpongeBob, these awards are genuine accomplishments. They matter to him, and that makes them matter. The scale of achievement, 374 consecutive awards, is not just impressive. It's almost impossible. To understand why, think about what has to happen for someone to win Employee of the Month. First, you have to be better than every other employee every single month. You cannot just be good, you have to be the best. Second, whoever gives out the awards has to notice and care enough to pick you every time. Third, you have to maintain this level of performance through every season, every holiday, every personal problem, every difficult day. Most people who win awards like this might win several in a row if they're having a great year. They might win frequently if they're excellent at their job. But winning every month for over 30 years requires something beyond normal excellence. It requires a level of dedication and consistency that borders on superhuman. SpongeBob achieves this because cooking Krabby Patties is not just his job. It's his passion, his purpose, his identity. He wakes up excited to go to work. He loves being at the Krusty Krab. He puts his whole self into every patty he makes. This level of investment cannot be faked or forced. It comes from genuine love for what he does. The 374 awards show that SpongeBob has been operating at his absolute best for his entire career. There was no learning curve where he started out rough and improved over time. There was no peak period where he was great for a while and then declined. He has been the best employee from the beginning and stayed the best employee for hundreds of months. The manager question. In the movie, SpongeBob expects to become manager of the Krusty Krab too. Given his 374 consecutive Employee of the Month awards, this expectation makes sense. If anyone has proven themselves worthy of a promotion, it's someone who has been the top employee for over 300 months in a row. SpongeBob does not just hope he'll get the job, he's certain. When he wakes up that morning, he runs around chanting, "I'm ready, promotion." He tells Patrick they'll celebrate after his big promotion. He thanks Squidward in advance for supporting him. He has every reason to believe the manager position is his. The 374 awards support this belief. They're proof of his qualifications. They show he's reliable, skilled, dedicated, and excellent at his job. They demonstrate that Mr. Krabs has recognized his value hundreds of times. If Employee of the Month awards mean anything, then 374 of them should mean a lot. But Mr. Krabs gives the manager position to Squidward instead. At the grand opening ceremony, he announces that the new manager is Squidward Tentacles. SpongeBob initially thinks he heard his own name and starts celebrating before he realizes his mistake. When SpongeBob asks why he did not get the job, Mr. Krabs explains that being a manager is a big responsibility. He says Squidward is more mature. He tells SpongeBob that to be a manager, you have to be a man, and SpongeBob is just a kid. The 374 awards apparently do not matter as much as perceived maturity. All those months of excellence, all that proven dedication, all that demonstrated skill, none of it is enough to overcome Mr. Krabs' belief that SpongeBob is too childlike for management. This decision seems unfair when you consider SpongeBob's track record. He has more Employee of the Month awards than some people have months of life experience. He has proven his dedication, skill, and reliability hundreds of times over. Yet none of that is enough. The wall of 374 awards becomes even more meaningful in this context. SpongeBob has been working hard and winning recognition for years and years, but it still was not enough to get the promotion he wanted. His love for the Krusty Krab and his excellence at his job are undeniable. The question is whether that's enough. What this says about SpongeBob. The 374 consecutive Employee of the Month awards reveal several important things about SpongeBob's character. First, he's capable of sustained excellence. Many people can be great for a short time. Fewer people can be great consistently. Almost nobody can be the best every single month for over 30 years. This shows SpongeBob has real talent, not just enthusiasm. Second, he values recognition. The fact that he displays all 374 awards in his bedroom shows they mean something to him. He could have kept a few and stored the rest. He could have rotated which ones he displayed. Instead, he keeps every single one visible. Each award represents a month when someone noticed and appreciated his hard work. Third, he's loyal. To win 374 consecutive Employee of the Month awards, SpongeBob had to stay at the Krusty Krab for over 31 years. He did not job hop or look for better opportunities. He found a place he loved and stayed there, working hard month after month. Fourth, he's sincere. Some people might collect 374 awards and become arrogant or entitled. SpongeBob remains humble and eager. He does not act like someone who has proven himself hundreds of times. He acts like someone who still has something to prove. When he does not get the promotion, he does not point to his wall of awards and demand to know why they don't matter. He questions himself instead. The recognition he deserves. At the end of the movie, after SpongeBob saves Bikini Bottom from Plankton and rescues King Neptune's crown, Mr. Krabs finally gives him the promotion. He calls for the manager pin, and everyone assumes he's about to give it to SpongeBob. Even Squidward agrees that SpongeBob rightfully deserves it. This moment matters because it shows Mr. Krabs was wrong about SpongeBob needing to be more mature. SpongeBob proved his worth not by acting more grown-up, but by being himself. He went on a dangerous journey, faced scary obstacles, and succeeded because of who he is, not despite who he is. The 374 consecutive Employee of the Month awards were always proof that SpongeBob deserved the manager position, but Mr. Krabs needed to see something more before he would believe it. He needed to see SpongeBob save the day. He needed to see SpongeBob as a hero before he could see him as a manager. When SpongeBob finally gets the promotion at the end of the movie, it feels earned. Not because he did not deserve it before, but because he had to fight for it. The 374 awards showed he was qualified. The journey showed he was capable of more than anyone gave him credit for. SpongeBob's wall of 374 consecutive Employee of the Month awards is more than a funny detail in the movie. It's a visual representation of his dedication, his consistency, and his love for his job. It shows that he has been excellent at what he does for a very long time. And it raises an important question. If 374 consecutive awards are not enough to prove someone is qualified for a promotion, then what is? Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on, we have Neptune's spatula. He was chosen by King Neptune, but chose the Krusty Krab instead. In the episode Neptune's Spatula, SpongeBob accidentally pulls a golden spatula from ancient Greece at the Fry Cook Museum. This spatula was placed there by King Neptune himself, and only someone worthy of being the royal fry cook could remove it. When SpongeBob pulls it out, King Neptune appears and challenges him to prove his worth. SpongeBob wins the challenge and earns the right to become a god and cook only for Neptune in Atlantis. But SpongeBob turns down this incredible offer because he cannot bring his friends. Instead, Neptune becomes SpongeBob's trainee at the Krusty Krab. This episode shows something important about SpongeBob's character. He was chosen by a god to be a royal fry cook. He won a competition against that god. He was offered the chance to live in a palace and become immortal. And he said no. He chose the Krusty Krab over Atlantis. He chose his regular life over godhood. This decision reveals just how much the Krusty Krab and his friends mean to him. The Golden Spatula at the museum. The episode begins with SpongeBob and Patrick visiting the Fry Cook Museum. They walk through the museum looking at rare cooking items. SpongeBob gets excited about everything they see. Then they come to the ultimate cooking utensil, the Golden Spatula. Patrick reads the plaque next to it. The plaque says many have tried to pull the spatula from the ancient Greece, but all have failed. Only a fry cook worthy of King Neptune himself can wield the golden spatula. As Patrick reads this, Larry the Lobster tries to pull the spatula out. He grunts and strains but fails. The spatula springs back into place. SpongeBob and Patrick are amazed by the golden spatula. SpongeBob asks Patrick to take a picture of him with it. He runs up to the spatula and grabs the handle, posing for the photo. A museum visitor asks Patrick where the menu section is, distracting him. SpongeBob points to show her where to go. When he points, he accidentally pulls the spatula out of the grease. Gray clouds appear above SpongeBob immediately. Lightning bolts strike. A woman in the museum sees this and runs away screaming. Patrick tries to take the picture while all of this happens. The clouds open and King Neptune appears. SpongeBob did not try to pull the spatula out. He was not attempting the challenge. He was just posing for a photo and happened to grab the handle. When he pointed to help someone, he pulled it out by accident. This matters because it shows SpongeBob was worthy without even trying. He did not need to prove himself or make an effort. His natural ability as a fry cook was enough. Neptune's disbelief. When King Neptune appears, he's excited. He says someone worthy of being the royal fry cook has finally freed the spatula from the grease. He asks who did it. SpongeBob nervously admits that he did. King Neptune laughs. He thinks SpongeBob is joking. He says SpongeBob is just a lowly yellow sponge. He calls SpongeBob puny, insignificant, and a commoner. Each time Neptune insults him, SpongeBob droops a little more. Neptune says SpongeBob could never be fry cooked to a god, and that's why it's funny. Neptune looks around for the real person who pulled the spatula. He checks several people in the museum. He comes to a hot dog stand and assumes the vendor must be the new fry cook. But the hot dog vendor says he did not pull the spatula. He points to SpongeBob as the real person who did it. Everyone laughs with Neptune. He says it's even funnier the second time. He's still convinced SpongeBob could not possibly be worthy. He destroys the hot dog stand with his fist out of frustration. Neptune sees Larry the Lobster and assumes someone with Larry's physique must be the worthy fry cook. Larry says he works out. Neptune makes poses with Larry, and they body slam each other. Then Neptune asks if Larry pulled the spatula. Larry says no, it was SpongeBob. Neptune is getting angry now. He asks Patrick if he knows who pulled the spatula. Patrick points to SpongeBob. Neptune cannot believe this creature is royal fry cook material. He asks if Patrick has any proof. Patrick shows him the photo he took of SpongeBob holding the spatula. Even with photographic evidence, Neptune still does not want to accept the truth. He says pulling a spatula from a greasy griddle is not enough. The royal fry cook must have certain qualities. He starts making up random requirements. The royal fry cook must be left-handed. SpongeBob shows he has 2 left hands. The royal fry cook wears red underwear. SpongeBob shows his red underwear. Blue underwear. SpongeBob shows his blue underwear too. Neptune keeps trying to find some reason to disqualify SpongeBob, but SpongeBob meets every made-up requirement. Patrick gets fed up and tells Neptune that SpongeBob is the new royal fry cook. Neptune shouts for silence and zaps Patrick, burning him. SpongeBob calls Neptune a bully and a liar for hurting his friend. This makes Neptune angry enough to offer a challenge. The challenge. Neptune grabs SpongeBob and says he will prove SpongeBob's worthlessness with a challenge. Patrick mockingly tells Neptune to bring it on, saying SpongeBob can handle anything. Neptune zaps Patrick again. Neptune says there will be 2 challenges. Patrick mocks him again, saying only 2 challenges are nothing to SpongeBob. Neptune makes it 3 challenges. Patrick laughs and says 3 challenges might as well be 500 challenges. Neptune zaps Patrick into ash. Patrick weakly says SpongeBob will settle for 1 challenge. Neptune announces there will be 1 challenge, the ultimate cook-off. SpongeBob agrees to accept the challenge, but only if Neptune fixes Patrick first. Neptune agrees and zaps Patrick back to normal. However, Patrick's face is now on his bottom instead of on his head. Patrick does not seem to notice anything wrong. Neptune shows SpongeBob what will happen if he wins. He summons the clouds and opens them to reveal Atlantis. He describes it as a glorious palace where SpongeBob will cook only for Neptune and be a god. Patrick says that sounds pretty good. Then Neptune explains what happens if SpongeBob loses. If SpongeBob fails the challenge, he must give up fry cooking forever. This is a huge risk. Fry cooking is SpongeBob's passion and his identity. Losing means he can never do the thing he loves most. But SpongeBob says he's ready. He accepts the challenge and its terms. Neptune uses lightning to transport everyone to the Poseidome, a large arena where the cook-off will take place. The cook-off begins. Mr. Krabs acts as the announcer for the event. He welcomes everyone to the ultimate cook-off. The rules are simple. First to 1,000 patties wins. He tells Neptune and SpongeBob to shake hands. When they shake, Neptune zaps SpongeBob's arm and disintegrates it. SpongeBob regrows his hand and says, "May the best man win." Mr. Krabs tells them to go back to their corners and come out cooking when the bell sounds. Then he talks to SpongeBob privately. He says he has total confidence in SpongeBob. Then he takes out a large amount of money and bets it all on Neptune. Even Mr. Krabs, who has seen SpongeBob cook thousands of Krabby Patties, does not think SpongeBob can win. SpongeBob tells Patrick he's not good enough to cook in Atlantis. He says he should have never taken the challenge. Patrick gives him a pep talk. He says people used to tell him he would never amount to anything and would always have his head in the clouds. He tells SpongeBob to look at him now. This is not the most inspiring pep talk since Patrick has not accomplished anything impressive, but it comes from the heart, and that's what matters to SpongeBob. The bell dings and the cook-off begins. Quality versus quantity. The way Neptune and SpongeBob approach the cook-off shows their different philosophies about cooking. King Neptune focuses on speed and quantity. As soon as the cook-off starts, he summons 2 seahorses from the sky to dress him in his apron. He uses magic for everything. He summons large amounts of wheat from the ground and zaps them into buns. He summons vegetables and calls swordfish to slice them. He zaps the patties onto a grill and fries them instantly with magic. He uses magic to flip hundreds of patties all at once. He tail slams the ground to launch all the ingredients into the air, then uses more magic to assemble hundreds of burgers. The burgers rain down behind him and stack up in a giant pyramid. SpongeBob focuses on care and quality. He puts on his Krusty Krab employee hat. He takes out a store-bought bag of buns. He carefully aligns a tomato before slicing it. He accidentally slices too thin, showing he's paying attention to every detail. He rubs sticks together to create a fire for his grill. He patiently waits for the patty to cook above the campfire. He puts ketchup on 2 pickles to make faces on them. He applies a cheese blanket and gives goodnight kisses to a pickle slice. He even reads a bedtime story to the pickles. He carefully places the top bun on his 1 Krabby Patty and says it's perfect. By the time SpongeBob finishes his 1 perfect patty, Neptune has made 1,000. The final score is King Neptune. 1,000, SpongeBob 1. Neptune wins the race. The crowd cheers. SpongeBob takes off his hat in defeat. The taste test. Neptune celebrates his victory and offers free patties to everyone in the audience. He sends his burgers out to the crowd. Everyone takes a bite. Immediately, they all spit the burgers out. Neptune's burgers are terrible. The crowd starts complaining. They tell Neptune to try his own burger. They call him too chicken to eat what he made. Neptune hesitates. He gets angry and throws his burger away instead of eating it. He admits his burgers are no good. Then Neptune grabs SpongeBob's patty and asks what makes anyone think SpongeBob's will be any better. He eats it in anger. Then he chews slowly. His expression changes. He starts to like it. He says it tastes so good that he wants to try it a second time. He spits it out and eats it again. The crowd groans in disgust at watching him eat a burger he already ate. SpongeBob asks Neptune what he thinks. Neptune admits that SpongeBob's burger is superior. He bows to SpongeBob and says SpongeBob wins. The crowd cheers. SpongeBob and Patrick celebrate, dancing and chanting that they're going to Atlantis. This outcome makes sense when you think about the cook-off. Neptune made 1,000 burgers in the time it took SpongeBob to make one, but Neptune used magic and shortcuts. He did not care about the quality of each burger. He just wanted to win the race. SpongeBob made one burger, but he gave that burger his complete attention. He made sure every part of it was perfect. He cooked with love. Neptune's approach to cooking mirrors how many people approach work. They focus on productivity and output. They measure success by how much they produce or how fast they work. But SpongeBob's approach shows that quality matters more than quantity. One excellent thing is worth more than 1,000 mediocre things. Refusing paradise. After winning, SpongeBob and Patrick celebrate. They're excited to go to Atlantis. But then Neptune starts laughing. SpongeBob asks what's so funny. Neptune says SpongeBob is funny. He asks if SpongeBob really thinks he can bring that repulsive thing to the palace. He means Patrick. SpongeBob realizes Patrick cannot come with him. Neptune confirms this. SpongeBob asks about his other friends. Neptune says the only friend SpongeBob needs is the Royal Grill. Patrick starts crying. Mr. Krabs cries too, though he's actually upset about losing his bet rather than losing SpongeBob. Neptune tells SpongeBob to grab his things. A two-seater bike appears. Neptune pats the seat and rings the bell, telling SpongeBob it's time to go to Atlantis. SpongeBob starts crying. He says he does not want to go. Neptune says it's too late. He cannot live without SpongeBob's burgers. He grows giant and tells SpongeBob he's going to be a god whether he likes it or not. Neptune zaps SpongeBob and turns him into a muscular god. But SpongeBob stays the same size, so he just looks strange with a bodybuilder physique on a small body. Neptune realizes they have a problem. This is the key moment of the episode. SpongeBob won the challenge. He beat a god in a cooking competition. He earned the right to live in Atlantis, cook in a palace, and become immortal. Most people would consider this the opportunity of a lifetime, but SpongeBob does not want it. He wants to stay with his friends more than he wants to be a god. Think about what SpongeBob is giving up. He's giving up immortality. He's giving up living in a beautiful palace. He's giving up the honor of cooking for King Neptune. He's giving up being worshipped and becoming a god himself. All of these things sound amazing, but none of them mean anything to SpongeBob if he has to leave his friends behind. This decision shows where SpongeBob's priorities are. His love for the Krusty Krab is not just about the restaurant or the job, it's about the people. It's about working alongside Squidward, even though Squidward does not like him. It's about seeing Mr. Krabs every day. It's about being close to Patrick and Sandy and everyone else in Bikini Bottom. The Krusty Krab is not just where SpongeBob works, it's where his life is. SpongeBob's alternative idea. SpongeBob tells Neptune to wait. He says he has another idea. He summons lightning himself. The scene cuts to later at the Krusty Krab. Patrick walks in with his face still on his bottom. SpongeBob greets him and asks what he wants to order. King Neptune screams from the kitchen. SpongeBob excuses himself to check on him. Neptune yells that the stove burned his finger. He uses his powers to zap the stove in revenge. SpongeBob scolds him in a stern voice. He asks Neptune what he told him about using his powers. Neptune sighs and puts his arms behind his back embarrassedly. He recites what SpongeBob taught him. Perfect patties are made with love, not magic. SpongeBob smiles. The episode ends. This ending reveals SpongeBob's solution. Instead of becoming Neptune's fry cook, SpongeBob made Neptune his trainee. Neptune now works at the Krusty Krab, learning how to cook properly. He's learning that magic is not the answer. He's learning that good cooking requires care and love. This solution is perfect for SpongeBob. He gets to keep his job at the Krusty Krab. He gets to stay with his friends. He gets to teach someone else about fry cooking. And Neptune gets to learn how to make good food instead of just fast food. Everyone benefits from this arrangement. The fact that SpongeBob can make this suggestion and have a god agree to it shows how much Neptune respects SpongeBob's skills. Neptune lost the cook-off. He tasted the difference between his food and SpongeBob's food. He knows SpongeBob is the better cook, so when SpongeBob offers to teach him, Neptune accepts. A god becomes a student to a fry cook because the fry cook has something valuable to teach. What this episode reveals. This episode shows several important things about SpongeBob and his relationship to the Krusty Krab. First, SpongeBob is genuinely talented. He did not just get lucky when he pulled the spatula out. He proved his worth by winning a cook-off against a god. His victory was not about speed or magic or shortcuts. It was about skill, care, and love for what he does. When you put his burger next to Neptune's burgers, the quality difference was obvious to everyone. Second, SpongeBob's priorities are clear. When given the choice between godhood and his friends, he chooses his friends. When given the choice between Atlantis and the Krusty Krab, he chooses the Krusty Krab. These are not hard decisions for him. He does not need to think about it or weigh the options. He knows immediately what matters most to him. Third, SpongeBob understands that good cooking cannot be rushed. Neptune made 1,000 burgers quickly, but they all tasted bad. SpongeBob made one burger slowly, and it was delicious. This shows SpongeBob knows that some things are worth taking time for. Quality requires patience. Excellence requires care. These are lessons that apply to cooking and to life. Fourth, SpongeBob has something to teach even to those who seem more powerful than him. King Neptune is a god with magic powers, but he does not know how to cook as well as SpongeBob does. SpongeBob has knowledge and skills that make him valuable regardless of his size, species, or status. The episode shows that being small or young or different does not mean you have nothing to offer. Fifth, SpongeBob's love for the Krusty Krab goes beyond just the building or the job. It's connected to his whole life in Bikini Bottom. Working at the Krusty Krab means being part of a community. It means having relationships and connections. It means belonging somewhere. SpongeBob would rather belong in Bikini Bottom than be worshipped in Atlantis. The meaning of success. This episode asks an interesting question. What does success mean? By most measures, becoming King Neptune's royal fry cook would be the ultimate success for someone who loves cooking. It's the highest honor. It's the best possible position. But SpongeBob sees it differently. For SpongeBob, success is not about status or recognition or living in a palace. Success is doing what he loves with people he cares about. Success is making customers happy with good food. Success is being part of something bigger than himself. The Krusty Krab gives him all of these things. Atlantis might give him prestige, but it would take away what actually makes him happy. This is a mature understanding of success. Many people chase impressive titles or big opportunities without thinking about what they're giving up. They assume more is always better. A bigger job, a fancier workplace, a higher position, these things seem like obvious improvements. But SpongeBob recognizes that some things cannot be measured by conventional standards of success. Would being a god make SpongeBob happier than being a fry cook? No. Would living in Atlantis make him happier than living in Bikini Bottom? No. Would cooking only for Neptune make him happier than cooking for everyone at the Krusty Krab? No. SpongeBob knows himself well enough to understand what actually brings him joy. The cook-off as philosophy. The cook-off between Neptune and SpongeBob represents two different approaches to work and life. Neptune's approach is about results and efficiency. Make as much as possible as fast as possible. Use whatever tools or advantages you have. Focus on winning. This approach gets quick results. Neptune made 1,000 burgers while SpongeBob made one. By the numbers, Neptune was far more productive. But productivity is not the same as quality. SpongeBob's approach is about care and attention. Do things right even if it takes longer. Pay attention to details. Make something you're proud of. This approach takes more time. SpongeBob only made one burger during the entire cook-off, but that one burger was so good that it won the competition. These different approaches show up in many parts of life. Some people rush through tasks to get them done quickly. They focus on checking boxes and meeting quotas. Other people take their time and focus on doing things well. They care more about quality than quantity. Neither approach is automatically right or wrong, but the episode clearly shows which approach SpongeBob values. The fact that SpongeBob reads a bedtime story to Pickles shows how far he takes his care and attention. This is excessive. This is over the top, but it's also what makes his burger special. He treats every ingredient like it matters. He gives every part of the process his full attention. This level of care is not sustainable if you need to make 1,000 burgers. But if you need to make one perfect burger, this is exactly the right approach. Staying true to himself. At the end of the episode, SpongeBob remains himself. He did not need to become more serious or grown-up or godlike to succeed. He won by being SpongeBob. His childlike wonder, his attention to detail, his care for small things, these qualities that others might see as weaknesses, turned out to be his greatest strengths. When Neptune first saw SpongeBob, he could not believe this small, silly sponge was worthy of being a royal fry cook. But SpongeBob proved his worth by doing exactly what he always does, cooking with love and care. He did not try to copy Neptune's style or compete on Neptune's terms. He made a burger the way he always makes burgers. And that was enough. This is an important lesson. SpongeBob did not need to change who he was to succeed. He needed to be himself completely. His victory came from embracing his own approach rather than trying to match someone else's. When you're genuinely good at something and you love what you do, being yourself is the best strategy. The episode also shows that SpongeBob's limitations are part of what makes him special. He cannot use magic like Neptune. He cannot make burgers super fast. He does not have godlike powers. But these limitations force him to focus on what he can control, the care and quality he puts into his work. If SpongeBob could make burgers as fast as Neptune, he might not put as much love into each one. His slower approach is actually an advantage because it ensures quality. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on, we have You Don't Know Sponge. Patrick doesn't know SpongeBob's favorite color, shape, or gender. In the episode You Don't Know Sponge, SpongeBob and Patrick take a best friend quiz from a magazine called Simpleton. SpongeBob knows everything about Patrick. He correctly answers every question about Patrick's favorite color, which hand he uses, and whether he has an innie or outie belly button. But when Patrick takes the quiz about SpongeBob, he gets every single question wrong. He cannot name SpongeBob's favorite color, does not know if SpongeBob is left or right-handed, gets his belly button type wrong, does not know his favorite food, cannot tell if SpongeBob is a boy or a girl, and cannot even identify what shape SpongeBob is. Patrick guesses triangle when the answer is literally in SpongeBob's name, square. This episode shows something sad about their friendship. SpongeBob pays attention to Patrick. He knows Patrick well because he cares about him, but Patrick apparently does not pay the same attention to SpongeBob. He knows almost nothing about his supposed best friend. This leads to SpongeBob feeling hurt and questioning their entire friendship. Eventually, they make up when Patrick reveals he was buying SpongeBob a present, but the episode raises real questions about how well Patrick actually knows or understands SpongeBob. The magazine and the quiz. The episode starts at the Krusty Krab. SpongeBob and Patrick are in the kitchen practicing their favorite noises. SpongeBob does a dolphin laugh. Patrick does the song of the blue whale. Patrick's whale song is so loud it causes an earthquake and reaches an actual blue whale businessman walking down the street. Squidward asks them why they would practice such horrible sounds. SpongeBob explains they got the activity from their favorite magazine, Simpleton, which describes itself as a ton of simple things to do. Squidward sarcastically says it must be very challenging for them. SpongeBob agrees without understanding the insult. Patrick says the magazine made him look more smart-like, then goes cross-eyed. This shows that Patrick is not very bright. The magazine is designed for simple activities that anyone can do. Yet, even these simple activities challenge Patrick and SpongeBob. SpongeBob looks through the magazine and says they have done everything in this issue except for one activity, the best friend quiz. The quiz asks, do you really know your best friend? SpongeBob says this should be easy because he and Patrick know everything about each other. Squidward tells them to have fun with their mutual ignominious society and walks away. SpongeBob and Patrick cheerfully say goodbye. Squidward comes back just to call them morons, then walks away again. They say goodbye again. This shows how oblivious SpongeBob and Patrick are to Squidward's insults. They think he's being friendly. SpongeBob's perfect score. SpongeBob and Patrick debate who should go first. They keep insisting the other person should go first. Finally, someone throws a boot at SpongeBob's head from off-screen. Squidward yells at them to just pick one and says he has 3 more boots ready to throw. SpongeBob decides to go first. SpongeBob puts on glasses to look smart. He asks the first question. What is your best friend's favorite color? He thinks for a moment and answers aquamarine. Patrick says he hates to burst SpongeBob's bubble, but his favorite color is aquamarine. Patrick apologizes for doubting SpongeBob. SpongeBob says no problem. The second question asks if your best friend is right or left-handed. SpongeBob confidently says Patrick is right-handed. Patrick is drawing on the wall with his right hand. He asks SpongeBob how he knew. SpongeBob says it's simple, Patrick is his best friend, so of course he knows. The third question asks if your best friend's belly button is an innie or an outie. Patrick gasps and grabs Squidward's cash register boat to block SpongeBob's view so he cannot peek. SpongeBob laughs and says he does not need to peek. He can do this with his eyes closed. He closes his eyes and thinks. Patrick gets excited, wondering what the answer will be. Even Squidward sarcastically says the suspense is killing him. SpongeBob announces that Patrick has an innie. Patrick looks down at his belly button to check. He does have an innie. Patrick is amazed and asks how SpongeBob does it. Squidward monotonously says, magic, and walks away with his register boat. SpongeBob got all 3 questions correct. He knows Patrick's favorite color, dominant hand, and belly button type without hesitation. This shows he pays attention to Patrick. He notices details about his friend. He remembers information about Patrick because Patrick matters to him. Patrick's complete failure. Now it's Patrick's turn to answer questions about SpongeBob. Patrick asks for hard questions, not softballs like SpongeBob answered. This is funny because SpongeBob's questions were not hard at all. They were basic facts about a person. But Patrick thinks they were difficult questions. The first question asks what SpongeBob's favorite color is. Patrick struggles with this. He says color, color, and thinks hard. SpongeBob gasps to give him a hint. Patrick refuses hints. He guesses blue, then clear, then slaps himself in the face. He finally guesses 14, which is not even a color. The correct answer is beige. Patrick says he was so close, even though 14 and beige are not close at all. The second question asks if SpongeBob is left-handed or right-handed. Patrick paces back and forth. He calls this tricky. He debates between right and left, then guesses right-handed. But SpongeBob is ambidextrous. He grows an extra pair of arms to demonstrate. Patrick says fish paste in frustration. The third question asks if SpongeBob has an innie or outie belly button. Patrick guesses innie. A loud buzzer sounds indicating a wrong answer. SpongeBob shows his outie belly button. Patrick says tartar sauce in disappointment. SpongeBob encourages Patrick, saying he will surely get the next one right. The question asks what SpongeBob's favorite food is. SpongeBob tries to help by holding up a sign that says Krabby Patty in one hand and an actual Krabby Patty in the other hand. Despite this obvious hint, Patrick says SpongeBob's favorite food is a chum burger. SpongeBob frowns and puts down the sign and patty. Patrick thought he had that one for sure. SpongeBob tries an easy question. He asks if SpongeBob is a boy or a girl. Patrick examines SpongeBob carefully. He looks at SpongeBob's rugged biceps, then his delicate eyelashes. He cannot decide and says pass. SpongeBob's Krusty Krab employee hat deflates in disappointment. The final question asks what shape SpongeBob is. Patrick says he has this one. Then he asks SpongeBob to repeat the question. SpongeBob repeats it, emphasizing his last name. SpongeBob SquarePants. Patrick guesses round, flat, and hexagon. SpongeBob tries to help by saying SquarePants. Patrick says the answer is on the tip of his tongue but cannot figure it out. SpongeBob holds up a timer and gives Patrick 5 seconds. Patrick shouts guesses, trapezoid, pentagon, and other shapes. Time runs out. Patrick guesses triangle. SpongeBob tells him no. Patrick got 0 questions correct. The devastating truth. Squidward is adjusting his register boat after SpongeBob and Patrick wrecked it. He asks who won the stupid quiz. Patrick says it was a tie. SpongeBob corrects him. It was not a tie, but they had lots of fun. Squidward takes the Simpleton magazine and starts reading. He begins laughing hysterically. He cannot believe Patrick guessed triangle for SpongeBob's shape. He points out that Patrick did not know anything about SpongeBob, and Patrick is supposed to be his best friend. Patrick agrees with Squidward. He says it's like they are not friends at all. This is a turning point in the episode. Even Patrick realizes something is wrong. He failed the quiz so badly that he himself questions their friendship. SpongeBob tries to defend Patrick. He says Patrick may not have passed the quiz, but like a true best friend, Patrick is always there for him. SpongeBob turns to Patrick for confirmation, but Patrick is nowhere in sight. The scene shows Patrick outside buying ice cream from a truck. Patrick shouts, "Ice cream!" excitedly. Squidward laughs and says SpongeBob's best friend is not a friend at all. SpongeBob walks outside to find Patrick. Patrick cheerfully greets SpongeBob and says he got him an ice cream. He holds out a cone. SpongeBob takes the cone and thanks his best friend Patrick. Patrick says it's SpongeBob's favorite, dill pickle swirl with mustard and extra bacon bits. SpongeBob has to correct him. This is Patrick's favorite ice cream. SpongeBob's favorite is plain vanilla. Patrick realizes his mistake and takes the ice cream back from SpongeBob. He says, "Well, more ice cream for me." SpongeBob's eyes start watering. Then Patrick asks if he can borrow $5. This is the final straw for SpongeBob. He miserably takes money out of his pocket. He throws it on the ground and shouts for Patrick to take his dirty, rotten money. He says he does not even know Patrick anymore and runs off crying. The ice cream man asks what's wrong with SpongeBob. Patrick thinks SpongeBob just did not want any ice cream. Patrick completely misses that he hurt SpongeBob's feelings. He does not understand what happened or why SpongeBob is upset. SpongeBob's heartbreak. The scene cuts to SpongeBob in his bedroom, sobbing on his bed. Gary comes over to his food bowl. SpongeBob is crying so much that his tears are landing in Gary's bowl, filling it up. Gary gets splashed by more tears as SpongeBob sobs even harder. Gary's eyelids pop open in annoyance, and he slithers away crossly. SpongeBob cries that it just is not fair. He tries to calm himself down. He says who needs Patrick anyway. He decides to embrace the rest of his life without Patrick. He leaves his house announcing that the rest of his life is starting now. He walks past Patrick, who is sunning himself on his rock. Patrick cheerfully says hello to SpongeBob. SpongeBob tells himself to be strong. He formally greets Patrick as Mr. Star instead of using his first name. This shows SpongeBob is trying to create distance. Patrick just says see you later, completely oblivious to SpongeBob's coldness. SpongeBob goes to Sandy's tree dome for comfort. He sobs while telling her it was awful, truly awful. He says he and Patrick were like complete strangers. Sandy tries to help. She says you do not need to know everything about your best friend. That's what keeps the friendship interesting. She suggests maybe SpongeBob and Patrick just need some time apart. SpongeBob sniffles and agrees. He says he will have lots of fun without Patrick. He walks towards Sandy's door. On his way out, he breaks down in tears again. Sandy says to herself that SpongeBob is a crybaby. This scene shows how deeply hurt SpongeBob is. He cannot stop crying. He thought he and Patrick had a close friendship. The quiz revealed they do not know each other equally. SpongeBob knows Patrick, but Patrick does not know SpongeBob. This asymmetry is painful for SpongeBob to discover. Trying to move on. SpongeBob walks around telling himself he does not need Patrick. He says he can have a good time all by himself. He takes out his jellyfishing net and says he can go jellyfishing. But then he remembers that he and Patrick used to go jellyfishing together. He says he can play leapfrog. He jumps over a rock, then tries to throw it over his head. He winds up trapped under the rock and struggles to slide out from under it. This shows he cannot even play leapfrog without Patrick. He says he can blow bubbles. He blows a bubble, but it looks just like Patrick. SpongeBob decides maybe not. The bubble pops. He sighs. Patrick walks by singing "Leedle, Leedle, Leedle, Lee" happily. SpongeBob panics and says he cannot let Patrick see him. He drills a hole in the sand and hides in it. Patrick skips over the hole. SpongeBob checks to make sure Patrick is gone, then exits the hole. Patrick walks by again, still singing. SpongeBob notes that Patrick does not seem to be missing him at all. He comments that it's nice Patrick has gotten over their friendship so quickly. This hurts SpongeBob even more. Not only does Patrick not know him well, but Patrick also does not seem sad about their fight. SpongeBob returns to the hole and digs a tunnel following Patrick. He watches Patrick enter a gym from afar. SpongeBob takes out binoculars and sees Patrick exiting with Larry the lobster. SpongeBob wonders if Patrick works out at the gym and hangs out with Larry. He realizes maybe he does not know much about Patrick either. This is an important moment. SpongeBob always assumed he knew Patrick well, but now he's discovering Patrick has activities and friendships SpongeBob did not know about. This makes SpongeBob question how close they really are. Spying on Patrick, SpongeBob follows Larry and Patrick to a cooking supply shop. SpongeBob spies on them from inside a blender. He watches Patrick shopping for cookery and finds this very suspicious. Patrick comes to the blender and presses a button, turning it on. Patrick leaves. SpongeBob's hand reaches out and turns off the blender. SpongeBob, now liquefied, exits the blender. Larry and Patrick go to a magic shop to purchase something. As they exit, one of the top hats from a display follows them. SpongeBob is inside the hat. He jumps out and tells Patrick to hold it right there. Larry greets SpongeBob. Patrick says they were just coming to see SpongeBob. SpongeBob angrily assumes they were coming to tell him about Patrick's new best friend, Larry. Larry says he does not want to get in the middle of whatever this is and walks away. Patrick says Larry is a great guy with loads of talent and good looks. SpongeBob agrees that Larry is pretty amazing. He sounds defeated, but then Patrick clarifies that Larry is not his best friend. Larry was just helping Patrick buy a present. SpongeBob angrily asks who the present is for, assuming it must be for Sandy. Patrick says no, the present is for his real best friend, SpongeBob SquarePants. The reconciliation. SpongeBob is surprised. Patrick holds out the bag. SpongeBob takes it and opens it. Inside is a rubber nose, mustache, and glasses disguise. SpongeBob loves it. He says Patrick does know him after all. Patrick is wearing the same disguise. He says he got a pair for himself too. SpongeBob calls Patrick the bestest best friend. He puts on his disguise and asks how he looks. Patrick screams and asks how he should know what a mysterious stranger looks like. He runs away screaming. SpongeBob sighs and asks, "Why me?" This ending is bittersweet. Patrick was trying to do something nice for SpongeBob by buying him a present. The present shows Patrick does know something about SpongeBob. Patrick disguised he knows SpongeBob would enjoy a silly disguise. But then Patrick immediately forgets who SpongeBob is when he puts the disguise on. This undermines the reconciliation. Patrick still does not really know SpongeBob well. What this episode reveals about friendship. This episode shows that SpongeBob and Patrick have an unbalanced friendship. SpongeBob pays attention to Patrick. He remembers details about Patrick. He thinks about what Patrick likes and dislikes. He knows Patrick well because he cares about knowing Patrick. Patrick does not do the same for SpongeBob. He cannot name basic facts about his best friend. He does not remember SpongeBob's favorite color or food. He cannot identify SpongeBob's shape even though it's in his name. He does not even know if SpongeBob is male or female. This reveals that Patrick is self-centered. He thinks about himself more than he thinks about SpongeBob. When Patrick goes to buy ice cream, he gets his own favorite flavor and tells SpongeBob it's SpongeBob's favorite. When Patrick asks to borrow money, he does not notice SpongeBob is upset. Patrick is not a malicious friend, but he is an inattentive one. SpongeBob feels hurt when he realizes Patrick does not know him. This makes sense. Friendship should involve mutual care and attention. SpongeBob gives a lot to the friendship. He listens to Patrick. He spends time with Patrick. He learns about Patrick. But Patrick does not reciprocate this effort. He takes SpongeBob for granted. The episode also shows that SpongeBob is more emotionally aware than Patrick. When SpongeBob realizes Patrick does not know him, he understands this means something is wrong with their friendship. He cries about it. He feels genuine pain. Patrick does not notice anything wrong until Squidward points it out. Even then, Patrick does not fully grasp why it matters. The gift as redemption. Patrick buying SpongeBob a present redeems him somewhat. It shows he was thinking about SpongeBob. He went to multiple stores with Larry to find the right gift. He put effort into getting something SpongeBob would like. The disguise he chooses is perfect for SpongeBob. SpongeBob loves silly, fun things. A fake nose and mustache and glasses are exactly the kind of toy SpongeBob would enjoy. So in this way, Patrick does understand SpongeBob. He knows what makes SpongeBob happy. He knows SpongeBob's sense of humor. But the ending undercuts this. When SpongeBob puts on the disguise, Patrick does not recognize him. He screams and runs away from a mysterious stranger. This shows Patrick's understanding of SpongeBob is surface level. He knows SpongeBob likes silly things, but he does not actually recognize SpongeBob as a person. A simple disguise is enough to make Patrick forget who SpongeBob is. This suggests Patrick's knowledge of SpongeBob is very shallow. He knows some things about SpongeBob's preferences, but he does not really know SpongeBob as an individual. He cannot identify SpongeBob's fundamental characteristics. He cannot see past surface changes to recognize his best friend. SpongeBob's capacity for forgiveness. Despite everything, SpongeBob forgives Patrick quickly. As soon as Patrick shows him the present, SpongeBob's anger melts away. He calls Patrick his bestest best friend. He accepts Patrick's gesture and moves on. This shows SpongeBob is a forgiving person. He does not hold grudges. When someone does something nice for him, he focuses on that rather than on past hurts. Patrick failed every question on the quiz and could not even identify SpongeBob's shape or gender. But Patrick bought him a gift, so SpongeBob decides everything is fine. Some might say this is unhealthy. SpongeBob lets Patrick off too easily. Patrick should have to acknowledge how little he knows about SpongeBob. He should have to make more effort to learn about his friend. The gift is nice, but it does not fix the underlying problem. Patrick still does not know basic facts about SpongeBob. But SpongeBob values the friendship more than he values being right or getting an apology. He does not want to lose Patrick. So when Patrick shows any sign of caring, SpongeBob immediately reconciles. This shows how much the friendship means to SpongeBob. He would rather have a flawed friendship with Patrick than no friendship at all. Connection to the Krusty Krab. This episode takes place largely at the Krusty Krab. SpongeBob and Patrick take the quiz in the kitchen where SpongeBob works. They make their whale and dolphin noises there. Squidward comments on their behavior from the order window. The Krusty Krab is where SpongeBob spends his time, even when he's not actively working. When SpongeBob gets upset about the quiz results, he stays at the Krusty Krab at first. The restaurant is his safe space. He goes there to hang out with Patrick. He goes there even on his breaks. The Krusty Krab is not just his workplace, it's his social hub. It's where his life happens. After SpongeBob leaves the Krusty Krab upset, he struggles to find things to do. He tries jellyfishing, leapfrog, and bubble blowing, but nothing feels right. This shows that SpongeBob's life revolves around the Krusty Krab and his relationships there. When those relationships are disrupted, he does not know what to do with himself. SpongeBob's Krusty Krab employee hat deflates when Patrick cannot answer if SpongeBob is a boy or a girl. This is symbolic. The hat represents SpongeBob's work identity. When Patrick fails to know basic things about SpongeBob, even SpongeBob's work identity deflates. His sense of self is connected to his work and his friendships. When the friendships feel unstable, everything feels unstable. What this says about SpongeBob. This episode shows SpongeBob is emotionally vulnerable. He cries easily when hurt. He takes Patrick's ignorance personally. He spirals into sadness and questions everything about their friendship. Some people might see this as weakness, but it actually shows SpongeBob feels deeply. He cares about his relationships. When those relationships are threatened, he experiences real pain. The episode also shows SpongeBob is loyal. Even when he's upset with Patrick, he still calls him his best friend. He still wants to reconcile. He still follows Patrick around to check on him. SpongeBob does not give up on people easily. He believes in second chances and forgiveness. SpongeBob is also observant. He notices details about Patrick that Patrick does not notice about him. He remembers Patrick's favorite color, dominant hand, and belly button type. This shows SpongeBob pays attention to the people in his life. He sees them as individuals worth knowing. He values understanding them. But the episode also reveals SpongeBob's need for validation. He wants Patrick to know him the way he knows Patrick. When Patrick fails the quiz, SpongeBob feels unseen. He wants to matter to Patrick the same way Patrick matters to him. This need for reciprocity is human and understandable. SpongeBob wants to be known and understood by his best friend. The sad reality. The episode presents a sad reality about their friendship. SpongeBob and Patrick are not equals. SpongeBob gives more to the friendship than Patrick does. SpongeBob pays more attention, remembers more details, and cares more deeply about maintaining their connection. Patrick is happy being SpongeBob's friend, but he does not put in the same effort. He enjoys spending time with SpongeBob. He likes having someone to do activities with. But he does not study SpongeBob the way SpongeBob studies him. He does not try to understand SpongeBob deeply. He just enjoys SpongeBob's company without thinking too hard about who SpongeBob really is. This imbalance is common in friendships. Usually one person cares more or tries harder. Usually one person is more attentive, while the other is more casual. But the episode shows how this imbalance can hurt. SpongeBob feels the pain of being unknown by someone he thought knew him. Patrick does not even realize there's a problem until someone points it out. The episode asks if a friendship can survive this kind of imbalance. Can SpongeBob be happy with a friend who does not really know him? Can Patrick be a good friend without putting in more effort to understand SpongeBob? The episode does not answer these questions. It just shows them reconciling and moving on. But the questions remain. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on, we have Employee of the Month series episode. He won Employee of the Month 26 times in a row and nearly destroyed the restaurant defending it. In the episode Employee of the Month, SpongeBob has won the Employee of the Month award 26 times in a row. This means he has been the best employee at the Krusty Krab for over 2 years straight, without missing a single month. The restaurant has a wall covered entirely with SpongeBob's Employee of the Month photos. Squidward calls it the Wall of Shame because every picture is SpongeBob's face. When Squidward suggests he might win the award this month, SpongeBob has a complete breakdown. He becomes convinced Squidward is trying to sabotage him. The two spend all night setting traps for each other. When they finally get to work, they compete so intensely that they make thousands of Krabby Patties and cause the entire restaurant to explode. This episode shows how much the Employee of the Month award means to SpongeBob and how far he will go to keep winning it. The beginning of judging. The episode starts at the Krusty Krab. Squidward is at the counter reading a book. SpongeBob keeps trying to talk to him. He says, "Hey Squidward," over and over until Squidward finally responds. Squidward asks what SpongeBob wants. SpongeBob asks if Squidward knows what today is. Squidward guesses it's Annoy Squidward Day. SpongeBob laughs and says no, that's on the 15th. He pulls out a calendar showing the 15th is marked with a picture of Squidward's face. Then SpongeBob points to the 27th. Today is the beginning of judging for Employee of the Month. Squidward tells SpongeBob the award is a scam. SpongeBob asks what he means. Squidward explains that Mr. Krabs gives out the award so employees will work harder for no extra money. It's a trick to get free labor. SpongeBob disagrees. He says the award is not a scam. Mr. Krabs gives it to him because he works harder. Squidward could win too if he tried harder. Squidward asks why he would want to win just to get his face on the Wall of Shame. The camera shows a wall completely covered with SpongeBob's Employee of the Month photos. Every single picture is SpongeBob smiling in his Krusty Krab uniform. SpongeBob says Squidward has it all wrong. Having pride in your work is nothing to be ashamed of. Pride in your work is the only thing that makes it all worthwhile. This is an important statement. For SpongeBob, the meaning of work comes from taking pride in doing it well. The award represents that pride. Without the recognition and validation, work would lose its meaning. Mr. Krabs overhears this conversation. He says, "Thadaboy, SpongeBob." He comments that this month will be tough because there's no clear winner. He whispers to SpongeBob that he should watch out because Squidward appears to be on the verge of a breakout. The camera shows Squidward still reading his magazine, doing nothing productive. Mr. Krabs says there might be a new face on the wall this month. SpongeBob's breakdown. SpongeBob's face shows concern. The camera zooms in on him. He looks over at the wall and sees 1 month labeled January with no picture in it yet. This empty spot represents the possibility that he might not win this month. Squidward tells SpongeBob that he's right. Squidward might sneak up on SpongeBob and win the award. Squidward and Mr. Krabs laugh at SpongeBob. SpongeBob walks over to the wall feeling worried. He imagines Squidward's picture on the wall, laughing at him. SpongeBob shouts, "No!" and begins to cry. He falls on his knees and asks how he could have let the quality of his work slip so much. In SpongeBob's imagination, Squidward's picture continues laughing. The laugh becomes an evil cackle. This reaction shows how seriously SpongeBob takes the Employee of the Month award. The mere suggestion that he might not win causes him to question everything about his work. He does not just want to win, he needs to win. The award validates his identity as a good worker. Without it, he feels like a failure. The scene cuts to SpongeBob in the kitchen grilling and flipping patties. He tries to flip one patty, but it won't flip. He tries harder. The patty flies up and sticks to the ceiling. SpongeBob screams and tries to get it down. Squidward peeks in and asks if SpongeBob needs help. SpongeBob screams again. Squidward asks what SpongeBob is doing. SpongeBob nervously says he's making Krabby Patties. Squidward tells him he's losing it. Squidward starts to say the award is a load of garbage, but SpongeBob finally gets the patty off the ceiling. The patty flies into a table fan sitting on a barrel. The fan sprays patty meat all over Squidward. SpongeBob jumps down and begs Squidward not to tell Mr. Krabs about this. It will hurt his chances of winning the award. Squidward tries again to say the award is baloney. He gets sprayed with patty meat a second time. SpongeBob insists the award is not baloney. He says the award is a symbol, just like his Krusty Krab employee hat. Squidward grabs SpongeBob's hat and says it's a symbol that SpongeBob is a chump. SpongeBob gasps and screams, "No, Squidward!" Squidward announces the hat is a symbol of what he thinks of the Employee of the Month award. He tries to stomp the hat flat with his foot. His foot hits something hard. He yells in pain. SpongeBob lifts the hat to reveal a brick of lead underneath. He explains that an experienced Employee of the Month always keeps a brick of lead in his hat. This is a funny detail that shows how paranoid SpongeBob is about protecting his award status. He literally carries around a lead brick in case someone tries to destroy his hat. Squidward tells SpongeBob one last time that the award is nothing but a joke. He walks away but gets sprayed with patty meat a third time. The military pep talk. SpongeBob lies on the floor looking at all his Employee of the Month photos on the wall. He wonders if Squidward is right. What if the award is a phony? Does this mean his whole body of work is meaningless? He clenches his fists in distress. Suddenly, all the photos of SpongeBob on the wall transform. Each one now wears an army hat. One photo speaks to SpongeBob like a military commander. The photo tells SpongeBob to stop that kind of talk. This is war now. That's exactly what Squidward wants SpongeBob to think. This is no time to go lily-livered. SpongeBob stands up and says, "But, sir." The photo interrupts him. There's no room for buts in war. Squidward wants SpongeBob to crack. Squidward is trying to trick him and get inside his mind. SpongeBob will stop at nothing to defeat Squidward. The photo asks if it has made itself clear. SpongeBob salutes and says, "Crystal, sir." The photo tells him to move out. SpongeBob marches away. This scene is important because it shows SpongeBob's psychology. He cannot handle the idea that the award might be meaningless, so he reframes the situation as a war. Now he's not defending a pointless award. He's defending himself against an enemy who wants to break him. This mental shift allows SpongeBob to keep believing the award matters. The military framing also shows how seriously SpongeBob takes this competition. He's not just trying to win an award, he's fighting a battle. He's a soldier following orders. This level of intensity over a workplace award is extreme, but for SpongeBob, it makes perfect sense. His identity is tied to being Employee of the Month. Losing means losing himself. The all-night sabotage war. That night, SpongeBob hides in bushes outside Squidward's house. He looks through binoculars, watching Squidward get ready for bed. SpongeBob says he won't let Squidward win. He watches Squidward set his alarm clock, yawn, and walk away. SpongeBob realizes Squidward can't go to work if he doesn't wake up. He says, "Target sighted." SpongeBob sneaks towards Squidward's house. He slides on the ground and goes through a window. He falls and makes noise. Squidward hears this while brushing his teeth. He goes to check what made the sound. SpongeBob hides behind a plant by the door. Squidward closes the door and SpongeBob slides around it towards Squidward's bed where the alarm clock sits. SpongeBob is about to grab the clock when he hears the door handle. He hides inside Squidward's pillow. Squidward gets into bed. The pillow feels uncomfortable, so he adjusts it. He tries to adjust it again and hears giggling. Squidward lays his head down. SpongeBob's hand reaches out for the clock. Squidward opens his eyes, freaks out, and throws the pillow against the wall. SpongeBob is revealed when the pillow cover falls off. Squidward asks what SpongeBob is doing in his house. SpongeBob grabs the alarm clock and says Squidward can't win the award if he doesn't get up for work. SpongeBob destroys the clock by smashing it. Squidward grabs another alarm clock and sets it on the nightstand. SpongeBob grabs that one and destroys it too. Squidward opens a closet full of alarm clocks. SpongeBob grabs several clocks and destroys them one by one. This visual is funny because it shows Squidward was prepared for this situation. He has a whole closet of backup alarm clocks. Squidward tells SpongeBob to stop. He says if he really wanted the award, he could win it with his tentacles tied. SpongeBob tosses a destroyed clock over his shoulder and says, "That can be arranged." Squidward calls SpongeBob a lunatic. SpongeBob admits maybe he is a lunatic, but he did win Employee of the Month 26 months in a row. Squidward stammers and asks if SpongeBob is trying to say he's better than Squidward. SpongeBob says he's been better than Squidward for 26 months, and it will be 27 tomorrow. This comment makes Squidward snap. He says, "That's it!" He announces he's going to show SpongeBob how easy it is to win the award. He will be the new Employee of the Month. He will prove he's far more competent than SpongeBob. This is the turning point. Squidward did not care about the award before. He thought it was meaningless. But SpongeBob's bragging triggers Squidward's ego. Now, Squidward wants to win just to prove he's better than SpongeBob. The award itself still doesn't matter to Squidward. What matters is beating SpongeBob. The two start making declarations. SpongeBob says he's going in early to wax the floors. Squidward says he'll have done it already by the time SpongeBob gets there. SpongeBob says Squidward will have to get up pretty early to beat him. Squidward says he doesn't need to sleep. SpongeBob says he doesn't need to sleep either. They watch each other through their windows. SpongeBob comments that Squidward is watching him. Squidward says he's watching SpongeBob, and SpongeBob is not leaving before him. SpongeBob asks if Squidward is getting sleepy. Squidward asks the same question back. They both say no. Squidward takes out his clarinet and plays Brahms' lullaby. SpongeBob sits in a chair and struggles to stay awake. Eventually, he says nighty-night and falls asleep. This shows Squidward has clever tactics. He used music to put SpongeBob to sleep instead of fighting directly. Traps and tricks. Later that night, Squidward tries to leave his house. He puts on his Krusty Krab employee hat and laughs evilly, but he immediately falls into a very deep square hole right in front of his door. SpongeBob reveals himself from behind Squidward's house holding a shovel. He dug the hole while Squidward thought he was sleeping. Squidward yells SpongeBob's name from the hole. SpongeBob comes over and asks if Squidward is going somewhere. Squidward threatens to wring SpongeBob dry when he gets out. He demands SpongeBob help him out. SpongeBob agrees and says he'll stop by after work. He walks away. Squidward screams SpongeBob's name over and over. SpongeBob goes back to bed saying he needs rest so he won't look tired for his Employee of the Month photo. He falls asleep and starts snoring, but Squidward manages to climb out of the hole. SpongeBob wakes up with bloodshot eyes when he hears hammering. Squidward is nailing boards onto SpongeBob's front door. Squidward says that ought to hold him, but SpongeBob saws around the door, pushes it onto Squidward, and runs away. A cage drops and traps SpongeBob. Squidward laughs evilly, but SpongeBob is small enough to slide out through the bars of the cage. Squidward walks along and gets trapped inside a bottle. He yells SpongeBob's name in frustration. SpongeBob writes loser on the bottle with his finger, salutes, and runs away laughing. SpongeBob sees a Krabby Patty and gets curious. He sniffs it, but the top bun opens up. A claw comes out and grabs SpongeBob's nose. Squidward was hiding inside the fake burger. Squidward says, "So long, Sponge Loser," but immediately gets caught in a net. SpongeBob runs by laughing. SpongeBob runs through a barbed wire fence, and Squidward runs by laughing. Squidward gets tied by his tentacles, and SpongeBob runs by laughing. SpongeBob gets stuck in a brick wall, and Squidward runs by laughing. This sequence shows both characters are equally matched in sabotage. Each trap leads to a counter trap. Neither one gains a lasting advantage. They're both exhausting themselves in this competition. During dawn, both are dragging large items. SpongeBob drags an anchor. Squidward drags a flaming boat. Both are completely worn out. Squidward calls for a truce. Both wave white flags. SpongeBob agrees to the truce. Squidward says he can't take it anymore. If they keep this up, neither will win the award. SpongeBob agrees they should save their energy for work where they really need it. Squidward suggests they have a good, clean fight. SpongeBob says may the best man win. They shake hands. But while shaking hands, both are thinking. SpongeBob thinks Squidward is a lying, boneless, ink-squirting, big-nosed phony. Squidward thinks about SpongeBob's bucktooth, corn-fed smile and decides you can't trust him as far as you can throw him. SpongeBob thinks that as soon as they stop shaking hands, he's going to run for the Krusty Krab. Squidward is thinking the same thing. They stop shaking hands, laugh nervously, and both run toward the Krusty Krab as fast as they can. The truce was fake. They both intended to betray it immediately. The morning competition. Mr. Krabs arrives at the Krusty Krab singing about making money. He sees SpongeBob and Squidward running toward him. He says it warms his wallet to see his employees coming in so early. He tells them they're early but realizes they're not stopping. They push him out of the way and rush inside. SpongeBob announces he's cleaning the floors. Squidward announces he's cleaning the tables. He presses too hard while cleaning and breaks a table in half. SpongeBob announces he's cleaning dishes. Mr. Krabs asks what's going on. SpongeBob drops and breaks all the dishes, then immediately mops them up. He tells Mr. Krabs it's much more efficient to clean dishes this way. Mr. Krabs shouts, "No." Squidward brings flowers and chocolate for Mr. Krabs. SpongeBob announces he's putting his own money in the register. He takes money from his pocket and puts it in the cash register. Mr. Krabs cannot control the situation. SpongeBob and Squidward move to the kitchen. SpongeBob announces they're using 2 spatulas to increase productivity. He tells himself to work faster. Squidward says there's nothing to patty flipping. He says he'll easily double SpongeBob's output. He calls SpongeBob SpongeCog like he's a machine. Mr. Krabs tries to tell them to stop, but they ignore him. The music speeds up. Both SpongeBob and Squidward make huge amounts of Krabby Patties. The patties overflow the kitchen and corner Mr. Krabs. He yells for help. The patties fill the entire Krusty Krab. The restaurant explodes from the pressure. Thousands of Krabby Patties rain down on Bikini Bottom. A fish named Dave says, "Hey, free Krabby Patties!" Mr. Krabs' head bursts through one of SpongeBob's Employee of the Month pictures on the wall. He yells that people have to pay for those patties. SpongeBob and Squidward come through the picture frame where Mr. Krabs is stuck. They both ask who won, Employee of the Month. Squidward insists it's him. They both call out simultaneously about being the winner. Mr. Krabs keeps complaining about the Krabby Patties being given away for free. The three continue arguing as the episode fades to black. What this reveals. This episode shows several important things about SpongeBob and his relationship to work at the Krusty Krab. First, the Employee of the Month award is central to SpongeBob's identity. He has won 26 times in a row. The wall full of his pictures proves his consistency and dedication. When Squidward threatens this streak, SpongeBob doesn't just get upset. He has a complete psychological breakdown. He questions whether his entire body of work is meaningless. This shows the award is not just a nice recognition, it's proof that SpongeBob is good at what he does. Without the award, SpongeBob loses confidence in himself. Second, SpongeBob takes work extremely seriously. When he thinks Squidward might win the award, SpongeBob imagines his Employee of the Month pictures as military commanders. He frames the competition as a war. He spends all night sabotaging Squidward. He digs holes, sets traps, and destroys alarm clocks. This level of dedication to winning a workplace award is obsessive. Most people would not care this much about Employee of the Month. But for SpongeBob, it's everything. Third, SpongeBob's pride in his work can become destructive. He and Squidward compete so intensely that they destroy the Krusty Krab. They make so many Krabby Patties that the restaurant explodes. Their competition helps no one. It doesn't make the restaurant better. It doesn't serve customers. It just creates chaos. SpongeBob's need to prove he's the best employee actually makes him a terrible employee in this moment. Fourth, SpongeBob cannot handle the idea that the award might be meaningless. Squidward tries to tell him the award is a scam. Mr. Krabs gives it out to make employees work harder for no extra money. This is probably true. Mr. Krabs is cheap and would absolutely use awards as free motivation. But SpongeBob refuses to accept this. He needs to believe the award represents real recognition of real skill. Otherwise, his 26 wins mean nothing. Fifth, SpongeBob is willing to compromise his ethics to win. He sabotages Squidward all night. He breaks into Squidward's house. He destroys Squidward's property. He traps Squidward in holes and bottles. He pretends to make a truce and immediately breaks it. These actions are not heroic or admirable. SpongeBob becomes the villain in his effort to stay Employee of the Month. The episode asks whether workplace competition is healthy. SpongeBob and Squidward push each other to work harder, which seems good. But they also sabotage each other, waste time, destroy property, and eventually blow up the restaurant. The competition brings out the worst in both of them. Neither one actually becomes a better employee. They just become more obsessed with winning. The episode also shows Mr. Krabs' role in this dynamic. He tells SpongeBob that Squidward might win this month. He plants the seed of competition. Then he watches as his two employees destroy themselves and his restaurant trying to prove who's better. Mr. Krabs created this situation by making the award seem important. If he had never started the Employee of the Month program, none of this would have happened. At the end, both SpongeBob and Squidward ask who won. Mr. Krabs does not answer. The episode ends without resolution. We never find out who won, Employee of the Month that month. Maybe nobody won because they destroyed the restaurant. Maybe both won because they worked so hard. Maybe Mr. Krabs decided the award was causing more problems than it solved. The ambiguous ending suggests the question of who won doesn't actually matter. What matters is what was lost in the competition. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the original fry cook. He almost quit when the original fry cook returned but stayed after learning. He's only valued because he's cheap. In the episode The Original Fry Cook, a wealthy fish named Jim visits the Krusty Krab. Jim was the fry cook before SpongeBob. He arrives in a solid gold limousine on his way to his solid gold mansion. Mr. Krabs is amazed by Jim's success. When Mr. Krabs shows Jim the Employee of the Month wall, he punches it, and all of SpongeBob's pictures fall off. Underneath is a giant photo of Jim with a Best Employee Ever award. SpongeBob realizes he was never the first or best fry cook at the Krusty Krab. He tries to learn from Jim but fails every cooking test. SpongeBob decides to quit because he thinks he's not good enough. Then Jim reveals he left the Krusty Krab because Mr. Krabs refused to give him a raise. Mr. Krabs tells SpongeBob the reason he keeps his job is not because he's talented, it's because he's cheap. SpongeBob is happy about this and decides to stay. This episode shows SpongeBob will stay loyal to the Krusty Krab even when treated badly. Jim's grand arrival. The episode begins at the Krusty Krab. An old customer cannot decide what to order. Squidward tells him he already ordered. The old man tells Squidward not to rush him and calls her a young lady. Squidward yells at SpongeBob to hurry up. In the kitchen, SpongeBob is filling in a ketchup heart on a Krabby Patty. Squidward asks, "What is taking so long?" SpongeBob says he's adding the love. Squidward tells him he's not being paid to love. SpongeBob says he's not in it for the money. This opening exchange establishes something important about SpongeBob. He does not work for money. He works because he loves what he does. He takes time to add hearts to burgers even when no one asks for this. He cares about making each patty special. This matters later when we learn the original fry cook left over money. SpongeBob walks out with the patty. He tells the patty he'll always treasure the moments they had together. Squidward interrupts by pointing outside. A solid gold limousine pulls up to the Krusty Krab. Everyone gasps. The customers run outside to see the limo. They knock over and trample SpongeBob on their way out. SpongeBob lifts his head and sees a big footprint in the middle of his burger. He's disappointed. A security guard opens the limo door. Mr. Krab says he'll be cooked in butter because it's Jim, the original fry cook. Out steps a bald, overweight blue fish wearing a fast food cap and yellow shirt. He walks into the Krusty Krab. Jim greets Mr. Krabs. SpongeBob asks if this is the Jim who flipped patties in the before time. This phrasing makes Jim sound legendary. SpongeBob has heard stories about Jim. Jim is part of Krusty Krab history. Mr. Krabs comments that Jim is doing well and asks if the limo is solid gold. Jim confirms it is. He says he was on his way to his solid gold mansion next to his solid gold lake when he thought he'd take a trip down memory lane. Jim became extremely wealthy after leaving the Krusty Krab. Everything he owns is solid gold. Squidward says good old Jim and comments that when Jim worked there, the place had class. SpongeBob agrees. The scene shows a flashback of the Krusty Krab when Jim worked there. The fancy flashback. The flashback shows a younger Mr. Krabs with sideburns wearing a blue sweater and a medallion with a $sign on it. He's dancing in a Krusty Krab that looks fancy like a ballroom inside. A younger Squidward emerges from his register boat. He lifts off his Krusty Krab employee hat to reveal long blonde hair that goes all the way to his thighs. Squidward walks over to Mr. Krabs. Mr. Krabs points to the kitchen door. Out comes a younger Jim with curly brown hair and acne on his face. He's holding a burger with his name signed on the side in ketchup. When Mr. Krabs and Squidward see the Jim patty, they clutch each other in amazement. They skip around Jim, sprinkling flower petals on him as he holds up the patty. The flashback ends. Everyone laughs, including SpongeBob. They stop laughing and stare at SpongeBob until he stops too. SpongeBob says they've had some good times too and asks Squidward to confirm this. Squidward says no. This flashback is exaggerated and silly. The Krusty Krab probably never looked like a fancy ballroom. Squidward probably did not have beautiful flowing blonde hair down to his thighs. The flashback represents how people remember the past as better than it was. In their memories, Jim was amazing and everything was perfect. But this is nostalgia, not reality. The important part is how this makes SpongeBob feel. He thought he was special. He thought his time at the Krusty Krab was the best time. But now he learns there was a before time, when everything was supposedly better. He was not the first great fry cook. He was not even the best fry cook. He was just the current fry cook. The Best Employee Ever award. Jim walks up to the Employee of the Month wall. He comments that this is new. SpongeBob pops up in front of one of the pictures and says that's him. The wall is covered with SpongeBob's Employee of the Month photos. Mr. Krabs tells Jim not to worry because no one could ever replace him. The original is still underneath. Mr. Krabs punches the wall. All of SpongeBob's pictures fall off and break on the floor. SpongeBob falls too. Underneath is a giant photo of Jim with a Best Employee Ever award. This is a devastating moment for SpongeBob. He has won Employee of the Month many times. He's proud of those awards. They represent his dedication and skill. But now he learns his awards were just covering up a bigger award for someone else. Jim's single Best Employee Ever award is more important than all of SpongeBob's Employee of the Month awards combined. The fact that Mr. Krabs punches the wall and breaks all of SpongeBob's awards without hesitation shows how little they mean to Mr. Krabs. He treats them as disposable. He's willing to destroy them just to show Jim his old award. SpongeBob is standing right there watching this happen. Mr. Krabs does not care about hurting SpongeBob's feelings. Mr. Krabs tells SpongeBob to sweep up the mess while he and Jim catch up. SpongeBob sadly says, "Yes, sir." He has to clean up his own broken awards while his boss praises the fry cook who came before him. Jim's success story. Mr. Krabs and Jim sit at a table. Jim explains that after leaving the Krusty Krab, he worked at some of the finest restaurants around the world. He got so successful that he was able to retire in luxury. Jim left the Krusty Krab and became wealthy. He achieved the kind of success most fry cooks dream about. SpongeBob approaches with a smashed Krabby Patty. This is the burger that got trampled when everyone ran outside. SpongeBob asks Jim to sign it. Jim says he doesn't sign what he didn't make. This is a small moment, but it shows Jim has standards. He only puts his name on his own work. Mr. Krabs suggests Jim step behind the fryer for old time's sake. Jim jokes that he'll have to charge Mr. Krabs. Mr. Krabs laughs hysterically. He says Jim always knew how to make him laugh. He adds that you just don't find employees like that anymore. SpongeBob says, "Yeah, not unless you look right in front of you." He's trying to point out that he's a good employee too, but Mr. Krabs misses the point entirely. He gasps and says, "SpongeBob is right." Mr. Krabs says he appreciates Squidward. The camera shows Squidward walking by with a wet toilet plunger. Squidward sarcastically says now he feels complete. This moment shows how invisible SpongeBob feels. He tries to remind Mr. Krabs that he's a good employee, but Mr. Krabs completely misunderstands and praises Squidward instead. SpongeBob cannot compete with Jim's legend. Nothing he does matters when Jim is around. The perfect Jim patty. Mr. Krabs asks Jim to make a patty. Jim announces that everyone should watch and learn. Everyone gathers around the kitchen door as Jim enters. But the door closes and Jim's bodyguards block it. One bodyguard says no one watches Jim. Jim rings the order bell and holds out his burger through the window. He announces one patty made the right way. Mr. Krabs calls it a thing of beauty. SpongeBob asks what's so great about a Jim patty anyway. He takes a bite and says it's okay. Then his eyes widen. He's transported to a mystical world full of stars and patties. He rides on a patty, but it disappears and he falls. He becomes a patty himself and slides on a rainbow down into his mouth at the Krusty Krab. SpongeBob says the patty was amazing. This is another blow to his confidence. He thought his patties were the best. But Jim's patty is so good it creates a magical experience. SpongeBob realizes there are levels of skill he hasn't reached yet. SpongeBob approaches Jim, who is at a table flirting with girls. SpongeBob calls him Mr. Jim, sir. Jim asks if SpongeBob is the guy who sweeps up. SpongeBob corrects him and says he's the new fry cook. Jim remembers SpongeBob made that stepped-on thing he saw earlier. Jim doesn't even know SpongeBob's name or job. To Jim, SpongeBob is just some random employee. This shows how little SpongeBob registers to someone like Jim. Jim is a celebrity fry cook. SpongeBob is nobody. Training with the master. SpongeBob asks Jim if he has any tips to pass on to a rookie. Jim jokingly says, "Besides, don't step on the food." SpongeBob begs Jim to critique his work. He says he wishes to learn at the feet of the master. Jim says that's the way to grovel and agrees to help. The scene shows SpongeBob and Jim training in the kitchen. SpongeBob hands a completed patty to Jim. Jim weighs it. SpongeBob is very excited. Jim walks to the restroom. SpongeBob follows and watches Jim flush the patty down the toilet. Jim explains the pickle slices were too thick. SpongeBob makes another patty. He flips it in the air and struggles to make it levitate. Jim tells him to hold it. Finally, Jim says okay, and SpongeBob gasps to release the patty. Later, after SpongeBob finishes another patty, Jim steps on it. He lifts his foot, showing it's covered in mustard and pickles. Jim says there was too much mustard. SpongeBob licks some off Jim's foot to taste it. The training continues. SpongeBob makes patties and Jim flushes them down the toilet. This happens over and over. Eventually, the toilet backs up from all the flushed patties. SpongeBob runs out of the bathroom stall crying. This training sequence is harsh. Jim destroys every patty SpongeBob makes. Nothing is good enough. The pickle slices are too thick. The timing is wrong. There's too much mustard. SpongeBob tries his absolute best and fails every single time. The backed up toilet full of rejected patties represents SpongeBob's complete failure. SpongeBob asks if he's a fraud. He's genuinely questioning whether he deserves to be a fry cook at all. His entire identity is built around being good at this job. But Jim's standards show SpongeBob is not as skilled as he thought. The decision to quit. Squidward knocks on the bathroom door and asks what SpongeBob is doing. SpongeBob opens the door and says he's crying his eyes out. Squidward tells him to hurry up because Squidward needs to cry too. SpongeBob asks why Squidward needs to cry. Squidward says because when Jim leaves, he'll be stuck with SpongeBob again. SpongeBob tells Squidward not to worry because Jim won't be leaving. Jim is taking SpongeBob's job. SpongeBob is the one leaving. He bursts into tears. Squidward asks, "Really?" and starts dancing to upbeat salsa music. He celebrates enthusiastically while SpongeBob walks back into the bathroom. This shows Squidward's cruelty. He's thrilled that SpongeBob is quitting. He doesn't care that SpongeBob is heartbroken. SpongeBob sits on the pile of waterlogged patties in the bathroom. He says the Krusty Krab deserves better than his meager skills. He decides he must be professional and resign. He clicks his spatula like a pen and starts writing on toilet paper. He writes, "Dear Mr. Krabs," and begins his resignation letter. This is a significant moment. SpongeBob is willing to give up the thing he loves most because he believes the Krusty Krab deserves better. He's not quitting because he wants to leave. He's quitting because he thinks leaving is the right thing to do. He believes his presence is hurting the restaurant. Saying goodbye. SpongeBob walks out of the bathroom and sees a crowd at the front of the restaurant. Mr. Krabs calls for 3 cheers for the world's greatest fry cook. SpongeBob gasps and says, "Me?" But Mr. Krabs tells him to come help cheer for Jim. Everyone except Mr. Krabs and Squidward cheers for Jim. SpongeBob sadly walks into the kitchen. He starts saying goodbye to everything. He says goodbye to the grill, the pot, the pan, the fry vat, and a grease stain. He kisses the grease stain. Then he runs into the freezer. In the freezer, SpongeBob says goodbye to frozen patty number 1, then frozen patty number 2. The French narrator says 298 frozen patties later. SpongeBob runs out of the freezer and says goodbye to the freezer itself. This goodbye scene shows how much the Krusty Krab means to SpongeBob. He doesn't just say goodbye to the restaurant. He says goodbye to individual items. He thanks 300 frozen patties by name. He kisses a grease stain. Every part of the kitchen matters to him. Every tool and ingredient is special. Most people would just walk out and quit, but SpongeBob needs to properly say farewell to everything. This is not just his workplace. This is his home. These objects are his friends. Leaving is like leaving his family. The truth about Jim. Mr. Krabs walks into the kitchen. SpongeBob hides in the freezer. Mr. Krabs smells something and realizes it's a resignation letter. He finds SpongeBob's notice on a patty on the grill with a flag on top saying, Mr. Krabs. Mr. Krabs says this is terrible because no one is making patties, and that means he's not making money. He cares about losing money, not losing SpongeBob. Jim walks in and asks where SpongeBob is. Mr. Krabs says SpongeBob thinks Jim is taking his job, so he ran off. Jim jokingly suggests that's a great idea and Mr. Krabs should give Jim a raise. They both laugh. SpongeBob watches from the freezer window. He thinks Mr. Krabs is offering Jim his job right now. Mr. Krabs says he better go find SpongeBob. SpongeBob opens the freezer door. Mr. Krabs sees him. SpongeBob says he was just leaving. He says he's not fit to inhabit the same kitchen as Jim. He takes off his hat and says with a heavy heart he relinquishes his position as fry cook. Jim asks what SpongeBob is thinking. Jim is not taking his job. SpongeBob says Jim is the greatest fry cook in the world, and the Krusty Krab deserves better than SpongeBob. Jim says both those statements are true. He agrees he's the greatest, and the Krusty Krab does deserve better than SpongeBob. But there's a reason Jim left. Jim explains it started on a warm summer evening. The flashback shows Jim and Squidward, both with hair, talking at the register boat. Jim suggests they open their own restaurant and stop relying on Old Man Krab's pockets. Squidward says no thanks because he's just doing this until his clarinet career takes off. Jim asks what if Squidward's career never takes off? Doesn't he want something to fall back on? Squidward jokes that he could lose his beautiful flowing hair too, but he's not buying a wig yet. His hair immediately disintegrates and falls out of his head. Jim goes to talk to Mr. Krabs. He tells Mr. Krabs he's been working hard, and Mr. Krabs better give him extra money or Jim will leave. Mr. Krabs asks what he means. Jim clarifies he wants a raise or he's quitting. Mr. Krabs starts laughing uncontrollably. When he doesn't stop, Jim throws down his hat and leaves. He doesn't stop to listen to Squidward complaining about his hair. The flashback ends and the scene returns to the present. Mr. Krabs is still laughing. This flashback reveals the truth. Jim didn't leave because he found something better. He left because Mr. Krabs refused to pay him fairly. Jim was talented and successful, but Mr. Krabs wouldn't give him a raise. So Jim had no choice but to quit and find work elsewhere. The devastating revelation. Mr. Krabs tells SpongeBob he sees now. SpongeBob has one quality Jim will never have. SpongeBob asks, what quality? Mr. Krabs says, you're cheap. This is the most important moment in the episode. SpongeBob learns he doesn't have his job because he's talented. He doesn't have his job because he's dedicated or hardworking or passionate. He has his job because he works for almost no money. Mr. Krabs values SpongeBob specifically because SpongeBob is cheap labor. Mr. Krabs is admitting that SpongeBob is less skilled than Jim. Jim was better, but Jim wanted fair pay. SpongeBob doesn't ask for raises. He works for almost nothing. This makes SpongeBob more valuable to Mr. Krabs than a talented employee who demands proper compensation. SpongeBob's response is shocking. He says, wow, I never thought about it that way. He's not upset. He's not offended. He seems almost happy to learn this. Mr. Krabs asks if SpongeBob will stay. SpongeBob says, aye. Mr. Krabs tells him to get back to work. SpongeBob runs off screen. Jim tells Mr. Krabs it looks like he's got another sucker. He calls SpongeBob a good fry cook, but says SpongeBob will only be a great fry cook when he gets the guts to quit this dump. Jim wishes SpongeBob good luck and says he'll need it. Then Jim leaves. SpongeBob protests that the Krusty Krab is not a dump. Mr. Krabs agrees it is a dump but says she's his dump. Even Mr. Krabs admits his restaurant is a dump. Both Jim and Mr. Krabs are telling SpongeBob the truth. The Krusty Krab is not a good place to work. SpongeBob should leave, but SpongeBob refuses to accept this. Why this episode matters. This episode shows the darker side of SpongeBob's relationship with the Krusty Krab. Most episodes show SpongeBob loving his job and being happy. This episode shows what that loyalty costs him. SpongeBob learns he was never the best fry cook at the Krusty Krab. Jim was better. SpongeBob's Employee of the Month awards were covering up Jim's Best Employee Ever award. Everything SpongeBob thought made him special turns out to be less impressive than he believed. SpongeBob learns he's not valued for his talent or passion. He's valued because he's cheap. Mr. Krabs keeps him employed because SpongeBob works for almost nothing. A more talented fry cook would demand fair pay. SpongeBob never asks for raises. This makes him perfect for Mr. Krabs, even if he's not perfect at cooking. SpongeBob learns from both Jim and Mr. Krabs that staying at the Krusty Krab is a mistake. Jim became wealthy and successful after leaving. He drives a gold limo to a gold mansion by a gold lake. He worked at the finest restaurants in the world. He retired in luxury. All of this happened because he left the Krusty Krab. Jim explicitly tells SpongeBob that he'll only become great when he quits. Despite all of this information, SpongeBob stays. He chooses loyalty over self-interest. He chooses the Krusty Krab over his own career advancement. He accepts being undervalued. He accepts being underpaid. He accepts working at what even his boss calls a dump. This episode asks whether SpongeBob's loyalty is admirable or sad. Is he noble for staying faithful to the Krusty Krab, or is he being exploited? Mr. Krabs openly admits he keeps SpongeBob because SpongeBob is cheap. Jim calls SpongeBob a sucker. These are not compliments. The episode suggests SpongeBob's love for the Krusty Krab might be unhealthy. A healthy relationship involves mutual respect and fair treatment. Mr. Krabs does not respect SpongeBob. He destroys SpongeBob's awards without caring. He refuses to pay him fairly. He values SpongeBob only for being cheap. This is exploitation, not appreciation. But SpongeBob doesn't see it this way. When he learns he's only valued for being cheap, he's happy. He never thought about it that way before. To SpongeBob, being cheap is a positive quality that makes him valuable. He doesn't understand that being valued for working cheap is not the same as being valued as a person. SpongeBob's goodbye scene shows his genuine love for the Krusty Krab. He says goodbye to 300 frozen patties individually. He kisses a grease stain. He thanks every pot and pan. This is not fake. SpongeBob truly loves everything about his workplace. His emotions are real and deep. The tragedy is that his love is one-sided. The Krusty Krab doesn't love SpongeBob back. Mr. Krabs doesn't love SpongeBob back. SpongeBob gives everything to this place and these people. They give him almost nothing in return. But SpongeBob doesn't care. He's happy just to be there. This episode reveals why SpongeBob stays at the Krusty Krab despite everything. He stays because his identity is tied to this place. He stays because he loves it regardless of how he's treated. He stays because he values loyalty above all else. He stays because leaving would mean admitting the last however many years were wasted. He stays because he doesn't know who he is without the Krusty Krab. Jim's final warning is clear. SpongeBob will need luck because he's making a mistake. Staying at the Krusty Krab will prevent SpongeBob from reaching his potential. But SpongeBob would rather stay loyal than become great. He would rather be comfortable than successful. He would rather keep loving the Krusty Krab than admit it doesn't love him back. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.